Aqua, Terra, Ignis, Aeris, and Magica. Long ago, the people of Mitraspera lived in harmony. Then, everything changed when they split into those who followed the elements and those who did not. Hungry for power, they corrupted the elements, creating evil forces that almost destroyed Mitraspera completely. The settlers, descendants of the old rulers who followed the elements, have been fighting the Forsaken for over 2 decades to reclaim their rightful home. But now, Mitraspera is dying. When all seemed lost, the settlers learned of a prophecy that promised a cure for their home on a new continent. And so they followed its call, to find the third sister, to find Sarkhan.
Wow, that intro was certainly mysterious and or gloomy and or epic, question mark. I have no idea what kind of intro future me is gonna cook up for you guys, so I don't know what kind of energy to greet you with, but I'm sure I transitioned into it very well by over-explaining it like that. Anyway, welcome! It's been months since the conquest happened, and this video is only appearing now. I filmed a lot of footage this year, more than ever before, as you are going to see probably by the duration of this video and also the amount of clips that I'm going to show you guys. I am very excited about it because I got some really good stuff on camera and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. But also going through that footage took a lot of time and a lot of attempts to beat my own laziness, so yeah, it took me only until today, the 20th of January, and it's currently midnight. Now, why am I doing this to myself at this hour when I know that last year I've already struggled with filming in the middle of the night? Well, the simple answer is, if I don't film this today, I would probably just film it tomorrow, but still that would be too late for my liking. So, we're doing this today. We're doing this together. I have water and I have not meat, but this is technically supposed to be hot wine, white wine. I've got everything I need. So yeah, let's dive right into it. Now, I don't know if some of you might have watched my previous video from last year at the Conquest, but if you did, you might remember my very tall, very impressive, very cool, as I said about 500 times, friend Valeria. She and I went to the Conquest together this year as player characters for the first time, and we were staying with the Realm of Roses as guests of the Realm of Roses. And I'm gonna swoon about them and tell you quite a lot about them throughout the video, But let us start with Monday. Let's get into it. Oh my god, now it's getting serious. We both had early arrival tickets, which is why we arrived on Monday and not on Tuesday like most people. And for the both of us, I think that was actually the best choice we could have made, because it allowed us simply to have some more time to get into this player character mindset. Because obviously as NPCs we were staying in this non-ambience, just very modern kind of camp, which I liked because it had this aspect of just snapping out of it and being yourself and talking as yourself to people. But now we had this new challenge of, right, we can be ourselves in our camp, but outside of it, we're gonna have to stay in character, actually, in the entire camp. So it was good that we had this kind of extra day to get into the mindset and also to get to know the people around us. And instead of continuously talking about this, because I already feel my voice failing me now, God, the video has barely just begun. But yeah, instead of talking right now, I think I'm just gonna add this little vlog scenario that I did in the beginning, because I did try to film some vlog thingy on day 1 and a little bit on day 2, and then I gave up on that entirely. So that is now on me and for me to fix in hindsight, now that my voice is already failing me. So this, I've just figured out, this is my little spying hole. I don't think anyone is gonna notice if I film through here. And we have managed to put up our tent. It's pretty spacious, actually. I don't know if you can hear me. It's windy at the moment, which I love, and there's clouds on the sky, which I also love, because I don't know if you guys remember, but last year it was very, very hot. The year before that it was raining, so currently this is ideal weather. And we're gonna set up the rest of our tent. We already saw Kit from Skill Tree. We saw him already on the way. Fangirled a little. But for now, we're gonna have to build our beds, hope that the sun doesn't come back out, and then we're gonna say hello to a couple of friends. And I will, I don't know, I will give a report then, I guess. Bye! Ta-da! This is our slightly messy but well enough working tent situation. Valeria is about to drive the car to the parking lot. And we're basically set up. It's not immersive at all, which is fine because our outside tent is obviously immersive enough. So as long as nobody gets invited in here, it's gonna be fine. And everybody here in the Realm of the Roses has been incredibly welcoming. We've had 2 guys come up to us who are like basically supposed to introduce newer people into the lore, into how things work here, and they came up to us and like told us if we need anything, we can always come to them and ask them questions if we need to. So yeah, everybody has been incredibly warm and welcoming and given us any kind of help that we needed, because we did need it a little bit with tent building. As you can see, the rest of the Realm of the Roses obviously have much more impressive camps out there. A lot of detail and love put into that, but since we're just guests here technically this year, I think it's okay for us to have this noob of a tent that is just plain and boring. No offense, darling. But I'm actually curious to see how well this is gonna go with our characters, especially if we're gonna stay here, if we're gonna be allowed to stay here. Who knows, maybe we just get drunk the first night and they kick us out. Could actually not happen. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. This is pretty big. And the thing is, Valeria is a very, very tall person, almost 2 meters. So you can imagine just how tall this is, especially for a dwarf like me. We are currently on our way to the NPC camp because I want to see it, because it feels familiar, and I want to see what they're up to, because they're already quite noisy. And after that, die sind richtig noisy. Was ist denn da los? So yeah, Monday was basically just a lot of walking around to kind of get an idea of what everything was gonna look like. And also, obviously, the set dressing is gonna be different every year as well. So we saw some interesting developments there too. What am I doing with my hands? So yeah, it was pretty nice to have this kind of extra day to just get to know people and slowly get into the right vibe, because I definitely needed that. I must admit I was pretty unsure on Monday and a little bit on Tuesday as well on just everything. You know, was I gonna do well as a player? How well could I adapt? Where was I gonna go with my character? And so I was kind of a bit nervous about the whole thing because I hadn't been a player character before. So it was good to kind of have that time to settle into the mood and kind of, you know, adapt, I guess. And like I said, it also gave us the chance to talk to the people from the Realm of Roses a bit more. Because when you go to a camp like that, you might feel scared in the beginning to kind of talk to people because everybody already, you know, groups have already formed. People already know each other. So you're kind of like, can I just go up to them? Do I just do the awkward thing of like, hey, so what are you guys talking about? Especially when you're like me and you barely know stuff about the lore. Yeah, we're talking about the world burn and the Encoreans, and I would just be there like, place names, people's names, awesome, that sounds so cool. I have no idea what you're talking about, but keep talking, because I don't know what to say. But it was really nice, because people were super, super friendly. And the thing is in LARP, yeah, it should really not be a worry to have this whole thing of like, can I talk to them? Should I talk to them? Because the rules in LARP are different. People want to talk. People want to have these interactions. People want to know you. Because if you're there, if you're at a LARP, you're surrounded by nerds. You're not an outsider. You're not an outcast. You're just like the rest of them. So yeah, go to people. Talk to them. Ask them stuff. It's totally fine. You don't have to worry as much as I did. And then we spent some time in the Tross, just walking around, seeing what kind of shops were there, what kind of shops were already open. We got ourselves some nice food, and then we went back to our camp because we still also had not done our homework super well. Valeria still needed to figure out a name for her character, and I wanted to figure out some lore just in case someone would ask, which didn't end up happening, which was quite good because I wasn't sure of anything at that point either, and honestly, I still am not. But yeah, we spent some time in our tent, did some last minute crafting, did some last minute coming up with names and lore and stuff. And then the night started to break in. Is that how you say it? 911? I just witnessed a break-in. Oh damn, who was it? The night? Yeah, I should not be filming this video so late. We're gonna have to get through this now together, you and I. And I think it's time for the wine. Oh no, I lost the bottle cap. I think I'm gonna have to drink the entire thing now. By the way, I do not have a drinking problem. I have been asked that before, not on this channel, but on my main channel. So just to clear that up, I make jokes about this, but I don't have a drinking problem, okay? I'm fine, there's no need to worry. Cheers to that!
The torches have been lit. This looks very cozy, actually. And we've made it a little bit cozier for ourselves as well. We have a little fairy lights, but it's seashells because we're fancy like that. And also a little candle. And we're doing some late night crafting, and we've just put together our names in this little professional notebook right here. We have some ideas on how to end the evening, but we might sneak into someone else's camp and pretend to know them.
Tuesday is the day where most people arrive, actually, and that's also when they start heading out flyers that I actually have here in English and in German. Technically, these are both in German, but you get one for OT info and you get one for IT info. So timeout and time in info, which is really cool. It's just some basic stuff about words that you should know or terms and phrases that you should know in timeout to either, for instance, escalate or de-escalate a situation, which I find great. And then you also have some time in information about the new continent that we were on, what kind of thing we were doing, what we're supposed to explore and stuff. I'm so eloquent. Anyway, we made our way into the Tross again to see what was going on there. And something that I really love about the Conquest before the time-in starts is seeing people in their full garb, especially from the Forsaken, so the bad guys, so to say, just casually hanging out right next to the settlers, amongst whom are often people who still wear casual clothes. It's just such an image for the gods. I love to see it. It's so funny to just see these people in full garb just standing there talking normally, and next to them their sworn enemies. They're sworn enemies, and they're just coexisting. You know, why is it not always like that? Life in Mythodea could be so peaceful and happy and calm, but you guys are playing. Anyway, we did some more shopping. I absolutely fell in love with this body chain that I bought on that very same day from Tinkerbell Dreams. Then we were walking around a bit more and we actually passed the Skill Tree camp as well, whom I have been talking about last year too. And Skill Tree, if you don't know them, it's a YouTube channel called Skill Tree that is made by or hosted mostly by two people. And these two wonderful, super talented people are just basically making crafting tutorials, and everything is related to fantasy stuff or specifically to LARP. And we walked past their camp and just watched them build it up a little bit, and later actually went there again to say hi, even though I didn't dare to do it at first because I was kind of nervous, because I become weird around people who I know from the internet. I just turn into an even more awkward, strange version of myself that I don't like. So I said hi and said, yeah, I'll totally come back because they invited me to come back. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And I meant it, and then I didn't have the guts to do it. But they were super friendly, so in theory I could have gone and hung out with them and spent some time with them, but I didn't dare to do it. And then it got actually kind of chilly, and every now and then it was raining a tiny little bit. But honestly, the weather compared to the previous years, 2024, which was extremely hot, and 2023, which was full of rain to the extent that I didn't even go to the Conquest that year. Compared to that, the weather was pretty damn good. And we used that time to just go and explore a bit. And so we just went to what would turn out to be the Mushroom People's camp, actually, who I'm going to talk about later in the video. And we just explored that forest a little bit. And a fun fact, for my very first Conquest experience, where I was also an NPC, I don't know if you guys remember, but I think I mentioned it last year. In that very first year, I got to drag people into the forest and like in the dark. And that was that very same forest. So it was kind of nice for me to go back and see the forest now have some new life and new purpose. And also at the same time remember those glorious days when I got to drag full-grown people into the woods and shove them onto the ground and getting away with it. I do hope I get the chance to do that again. I was thriving in that role. So anyway, after exploring that forest for a little bit, which didn't take long because it's not a huge area, I actually went to the west, which is one of the player camps, to meet some people that I had met previously through Discord, because I had asked them if I could film some stuff at their camp, because I kind of was in touch with them very loosely, and so I was like, I know you guys have a camp there, and I kind of wanted to film some footage. Would it be cool if I came by and did that? And these people would turn out to have play a very big role during my entire experience there. So I'm gonna tell you guys all about that. Wow, we're still on day 2. I need to kind of speed it up. So I went to their camp, I got to meet them, I got to hang out a little bit, and I did not film any footage like I had planned to, but I got to know them a bit better, which was nice. And after that, I dragged Valeria along with me to the NPC camp, because, as always, that last night before time-in starts, the NPCs are having a party.
There's the party going on in the distance in the NPC camp, and like creeps, as Valeria said just now, we're just gonna film and then leave.
And this year was different. I mean, it was already quite big the year before, but this year they had an entire stage for the sound box and everything, and the DJ, I think.
Wie viele Leute sind das? What the fuck? Yeah.
But it was pretty, like, compared to the previous years, it was quite the event. There were so many people there were so many lights, it was, damn! But we didn't actually join the party because we didn't really know anybody there, and we felt too socially awkward to kind of just join them and dance there by ourselves. So we just ended up going back to our own camp and going to sleep. Now let us proceed with day 3, Wednesday, where things become interesting because Time In is starting on that very day. Why did I say it like that? I do not know. Wednesday started with a lot of flea markets everywhere. And of course, as an avid secondhand shopping fan, I had to go to every single one of them, and I actually got a perfect bracelet for my character. So we kept walking around a lot, and it was actually pretty cool because on that day a lot of people were practicing things within their groups. There were a lot of people just marching towards the battlefield in their group formations. There were people that were practicing fighting. There were people that were just practicing their war cries. So a lot of that was going on. And we were watching most of that happening from the atelier, which was right in the outpost, so pretty much where all the most interesting things are happening. Scheiße. Oh boy, we're in for a night. Anyway, everything that you need to know for now about the atelier is that it is a neutral place within the lore of the game, where basically there's no fighting allowed and people from the good side and the bad side are meeting there if they want to, and they can just talk, essentially. So there's a lot of diplomats coming there and hanging out. And we actually were in the atelier a lot in 2024 because Valeria was playing a diplomat of the Army of Doubt. And I'm kind of starting to drool. Yeah, that's a good sign. So after we hung out at the atelier, I did a little stop somewhere else to meet a character that I had also met last year. Those of you who watched last year's video might remember that I had a special little quest going on, a special little mission to get some of these in-game cards signed. And I went to that very same character this year to kind of ask him if he needed another signature for one of his cards, because for one of the cards I could not get a signature last year. So I went to him and I was like, hey, do you still need that signature? And he was like, hey, yeah, I sure do. That was a perfect impression of him. Oh my god. And so he gave me his card again, and I had another little side quest to get done, which was to get the signature for this card, for that specific character on that card, who was a very important person in the game that I'm also going to talk about, but I'm not going to reveal who specifically it was. For some reason, I don't even know why. Anyway, because I went to him, I also got a map from him for free, and I love those maps he makes because on one side, they're basically just the Tross, so the town shopping area, so to say. And on the other side, it's the entire campsite, everything. It shows you where the battlefield is, it shows you where the shopping area is, it shows you where every single camp of the players is. So yeah, I got that map and also a piece of melon from our people from the Realm of Roses, which was very cute. And then after that, it was time for a little tour through the Realm of Roses camp, because they had specifically organized this to make it easier for new people who joined them to kind of know whom to go to or who does what, and if we have some kind of question or need something or want some specific gameplay, that we would know who to ask about it. And that was pretty cool because most of these people very openly said, hey, if you want this or need that or want to know more, come to us, talk to us. And that's a very good thing, especially in the beginning, if you're kind of unsure, to have people come up to you as a new player and be like, hey, you can talk to us, you can sit with us, you can just randomly come over, come sit with us and hang out. Because as a new player, you might still have that barrier and be like, I want to go talk to these people, but I don't know if I can. So if they offer it first, it's a whole different scenario, and that just made everything so much easier. And in general, we felt so extremely welcome and comfortable in the Realm of Roses because of these types of things, like the tour. We felt very included because of that. We felt like we weren't left alone and had to kind of figure things out on our own. We very much felt like they were reaching out to us and be like, hey, if you need anything, go to this person or go to that person. Ask anybody, we're here for you at all times. And that really made things easier especially because, like I said, in the beginning I was kind of unsure and nervous and I had never been a player character before and I didn't want to do anything wrong. So to have people there who really had your back and were like, we're here for you. It's all good. Talk to us. That was really nice. And after that, everybody was getting into their garb, including, of course, me and Valeria, because that's when there was a speech held in the Realm of Roses that started as an OT speech and then kind of transitioned into an IT speech. So from timeout information about things like,
we have a maze back here. It's very interesting. You're not allowed to go into the maze alone, even if you think it's fun. You're not allowed.
Ruth und Fiona sind da schon eine halbe Stunde dran verloren gegangen und zu spät zum Meeting gekommen.
Also, man stirbt dann auch.
Also ungestirbt.
As some of you probably learned already in this speech, we are a bilingual realm. We will try to speak English when people are gathered that don't understand one another. Like in Sagara we speak Danish, but we try to speak English instead because then people can join.
Transitioning into... What were we transitioning into? I mean, time in stuff, obviously, but I forgot what that was about. Did I film that even? Oh my god. But in that speech, our Niame and Archon, so our spiritual leader and our militaristic leader, is that a word? Were basically giving us some very important information that we needed to know about whom to talk to in what kind of scenario and kind of just what to expect. And they were both really nice and really friendly and down to earth. Like in the lore, their characters are really down to earth, very approachable, very friendly. So that was instantly just very reassuring and very just comfortable. You know, it didn't feel like, oh, we need to all shut up and be careful about what we are saying now. It was very much just like, oh, these are important, very important people. So I'm going to behave appropriately. But I don't need to worry about my head getting chopped off because I accidentally called them the wrong name or something like that. So that was quite reassuring in the beginning. So then it was the start of the time-in.
Ja, also wir haben ungefähr Plans.
The footage that you're gonna see from now on is mostly gonna be filmed through my secret hidden camera, which I'm sure none of you can figure out how exactly I did that. Just to mention that real quick, I got permission from the team to film. You're usually not allowed to film and you should stick with that and you should not do that. But I did have permission from the team to film. But at the same time, I didn't want people to feel watched and also didn't want to ruin the immersion for them by just shoving a camera in their face. So the video quality is gonna be kind of meh, but I feel like it doesn't really take anything away from it. I feel like it added to it because you as the viewer also feel like nobody is looking at you because they see a camera, you know? So I hope that's okay. But then Valeria and I went towards the battlefield because with the beginning of the time-in, the first battle also begins, or kind of the other way around. I mean, those two things go hand in hand. As the first battle begins, time-in starts. So we went towards the battlefield, but obviously we had no interest in fighting because I don't know if you recall, but I did not have the best experience on the battlefield last year. We went to the atelier, which was in the outpost right next to the battlefield. And from that safe space, we could watch what was going on without actually directly getting involved. So, love the atelier. When we arrived at the battlefield, or specifically at the atelier, the battle was already kind of over. we had no idea what happened. Everything was very confusing because obviously these things happen in real time. So just like if a real battle happened, not everybody knows exactly what is going on. So there was a lot of confusion, especially for me. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what had happened. All I saw was that a lot of players, an unusual amount of players, was in the outpost instead of the battlefield where they should have been. And then we went up to some people from the Realm of Roses who had taken part in the battle, and they had told us that apparently they, the settlers, the players, the good guys, had been pushed back very quickly by the Black Dynasty and the Skargan, so two of the Forsaken groups.
Oh, look! It's the Skargan!
They had managed to push the players so far back from the battlefield that they had to return to the outpost. And some people were actually going back to their camps already because the battle had been that severe. So as we were watching people retreat, I suddenly saw my friends from the west who had also taken part in the battle and went up to them and asked them what happened. And they basically told me the same thing, that, hey, we got pushed back very fast. And somehow I managed to muster up some courage to join this group and go onto the battlefield with them. Specifically, my friend Fiera stayed back with me and kind of made sure that we were staying on the battlefield, but at a safe distance away from all the fighting. But I still felt pretty unsafe, so I was only staying there for a really short moment, and as soon as people's voices got louder, I was like, nope, I am out of here. And so I went back pretty much immediately. I was on the battlefield for maybe 5 minutes, maybe 3, and then I fled the scene. In the meantime, Serenia, which is the name of Valeria's character, had already been diving into the lore. She was staying in the atelier while I had been on the battlefield, and she had already found out some information about one of the new factions from this new continent, the Tuvrani, the mushroom people. And so she was searching for them, actually. And when I came back, I joined her in that search. Serenia specifically, I'm just gonna call her that for now on. For now on, oh my god, go to sleep. She had made it her personal mission to gather all kinds of information about the new factions of Sarkhan, specifically for the Atelier, because they wanted to have just some kind of informative texts about them. And Serenia really wanted to do that. So we went to the camp, the home of the Tuvrani people, but then we're told that they were simply not home. They were not in their camp.
To some our latest informations, the mushroom people are to be seen on the battlefield. Yeah.
But since we had no interest of looking for them amongst all the fighting, we just kind of waited there for a bit. And also just watched people coming home from the battle, so to say, just retreating and going back to their camps, calling for healers, being hurt, just kind of dragging themselves through the outpost, which was very fun to watch. Maybe not the best expression in that case, but it was fun to watch. And then it was already getting dark. And I got separated from Serenia because she was continuing with her quest and trying to find the mushroom people, and I was trying to follow my quest of finding the person who needed to sign this Frivolita card. And the thing with getting separated at the Conquest is you're out on your own. If you do not know how to find that person, I suggest just go with it, go with the flow. Because you can either desperately try to find your friend, but you obviously can't really message your friend because there's also no, what's the English word, reception there? So you would actually have to go around and ask people, and I did just that. I was asking like, have you seen my very tall, beautiful friend? And then went to the next camp like, have you seen my friend?
They told me to tell you that they went to the Tuvrani already.
Oh,
So
alright,
you can
thank
join
you.
them there.
Thank you. But yeah, I got separated from Serenia and then actually decided, you know what, I'm just gonna see if I can find my friends in the west. So I did just that. I went through the Tross towards the camp of the west, and again, I need to swoon about the night ambience and just show you some of that because, man, I've said this last year and I'm gonna continue to say this every year, but There is something magical about that first night when the timing has started and you just hear people celebrate and sing, or maybe you hear people raising their voice and having some beef with someone else, but you know that all of it is time in gameplay. You know that no one is actually getting hurt, no one is in danger, and it feels so alive and so vibrant, and the music everywhere, and people dancing, people yelling, and just all kinds of noises of happiness. It's just so peaceful and so exciting at the same time. And also a lot of shops are still open at the time, so you can go around and browse through them as well, which I personally love doing and need to do more next year. Because you kind of overestimate the time you have there. You think, oh, I'm gonna be there for a whole week, I can get everything done. Nuh-uh. I sure didn't. I tried. But you just get so caught up in everything that you just almost never manage to do everything that you want to do. And you have to make your peace with that, ideally. Also, if you have problems with fear of missing out, this event is the perfect way to train yourself out of that kind of mindset, because you will miss out on something, on quite a lot of things actually. That's bound to happen. And for me that was very hard to deal with, because I ended up missing a few things, specifically one event that I will never forgive myself for missing, and we're gonna get to that, but I can't right now. But you really have to let go of that at this kind of event, because you will miss out on some very interesting things, because you cannot possibly be everywhere at the same time. And at an event like this, there is something happening at every corner at all times. And you will not always manage to find the, for you personally, most interesting event or best event, or, you know, you're gonna regret or hear some things that you wish you would have gone to that you just didn't even hear about. That's bound to happen. And it's okay. You have to make your peace with that. Anyway, to get back to what I was doing, I went to my friends in the West for a moment and asked them what they were doing, but they were just gonna go to bed soon anyway. So after listening to the music that was coming from their camp for a bit, and then listening to some more music when I passed the skill tree camp again, I just simply walked back to our camp in the Realm of Roses, because I still had not found Serenia, because at that point she could have been anywhere in the world. And I just knew that it was gonna be fine, and that she was probably learning about some kind of lore. Turned out later she did. She was with the Dragonhunters. But I just went back and peacefully fell asleep to music that was being played in the Realm of Roses. Day 4 for me personally started with a failed attempt of going shopping in the Tross. Failed specifically because most of the shops were simply not open yet, even though it was like 10:30 a.m. or something, so it wasn't that early. But because most players are staying up very late and then also kind of starting their days later, I guess it just isn't really worth it for most of the vendors to open their shops that early. So the only shops that were open at the time were the food vendors, so that was pretty unsuccessful for me, but I did have a fun little encounter in the Tross.
Eine was?
Eine koboldfreie Straße.
Frechheit. Kobold?
Was bist du denn dann?
Ja, doch, Kobold klingt eigentlich ganz gut.
Wir kennen auch Kobold, wenn ich einsehe.
Also at the same time there was yet another battle happening, so I suppose that a lot of people just weren't gonna go shopping around that time. But still I had kind of hoped that the shops would be open, because it was at that time already pretty damn hot. And specifically in the Tross, because there are no trees to kind of shield it from the sun, it was always very hot during the day, so I was kind of hoping to avoid that by going shopping early, but it didn't work, so it's fine. Then I went to my friends in the West and met up with Fiera, with whom I was walking around just a bit through the other camps and just talking a lot. And that was actually really nice, because we hadn't really known each other that well. Actually, this entire friend group that I'm going to continue to mention throughout this video, I barely knew them before the Conquest, because I had only met them online, which is a dangerous thing to do, kids. Don't meet people online, it's dangerous. But yeah, we had only talked on Discord before, but it was a match, it was a vibe. I mean, LARPers are all nerds, so to some extent I think you're gonna vibe with a lot of people there anyway, so it wasn't really surprising. And then I showed her around the Realm of Roses camp, because it was, of course, right next to the big-ass labyrinth, which I actually hadn't realized just how big-ass of a labyrinth that was at the time, and only later when they posted a photo, I was like, oh shit, I could have actually gotten lost in there. That's what they meant in the speech in the beginning. Don't fucking go in there because you'll get fucking lost and die in real life. So they meant that. So after that, Fiera and I went towards the outpost because there's this little arrow retrieving station. Because of course, as I personally know very well from experience, you have a lot of archers on the battlefield. And so we went into that tent so she could gather some of her arrows, because usually after the battle, or sometimes even during the battle, there's people there gathering all the arrows from the field and just bringing them to that tent so that people can get them. As we were there was also yet another battle going on. You're gonna quickly notice there's gonna be a lot of battles, and very often I didn't know why it was going on this time, who specifically was fighting, but as per usual, it was the settlers against the Forsaken, of course, as always. Oh, these silly fools, they just cannot stop killing one another. Why did that remind me of Morticia? Anyway, Fiera had also told me that apparently people couldn't stay on the battlefield for that long, or specifically the settlers could not stay on the battlefield for too long, because spores had been spreading there. So I think you could stay there for a maximum of 2 hours or so, and if you stayed there for longer, you actually risked your character's life. So that's why people kept coming back and couldn't fight for as long as they usually did. So after I soaked up a bit of the lore that Fiera had found out, I went back to find Serenia in the atelier. And that's when she told me that she had now fully accepted and committed herself to this quest of gathering all the possible lore about all the new factions. And again, it was just so cool to be in the atelier because you were right next to the chaos without being in danger. And that was just so fascinating to watch, because as we were there in that moment, all of a sudden there was some kind of beef going on in the outpost, directly in front of the atelier. And as I was watching that and kind of didn't know what was going on exactly, Valeria then told me that apparently Fortingas, which is one of the very important people of the undead, and I'm definitely not describing it like that because I don't know his actual title, I think he is the second most important person for the undead after the King Garvin, the Great and Terrible, King of the Undead. I think Fortingas might be the general of the army of the undead. I simply don't know. If you guys do, please let me know in the comments so I can correct that. But yeah, he had been there actually because he was on his way to one of the new factions, who are Greifenbronn. Hello and welcome to intermission number 1. As you can see, I am wearing a historically definitely accurate Greifenbronn outfit. The budget for this video, which has been €0 to begin with, has been exceeded some time ago, so this is all you get, okay? This is all I have. Greifenbronn is a kingdom without a king. The duchies and... Steel Dragon! Oh, that was a loud one. The duchies and counties commonly known as Greifenbronn are ruled by their respective dukes and counts with quite some autonomy, but led by a seneschal, who the high nobles choose among themselves. The tradition of choosing a seneschal was established 200 years ago, after the last king of Greifenbronn got seduced by nocturnals, killed the holy griffin Nebokal, and died afterwards. In these days, the throne of Greifenbronn remains vacant, for not only has the bloodline of kings of Greifenbronn died, but no new king shall be crowned, because the coronation ceremony requires the birth of the holy griffin Nebokal, who remains slain. But some Greifenbronners retain hope in their heart, choosing to believe in the prophecy that they one day may find the Sankal, a vessel containing the blood of Nebokal, and using it to bring griffins back to Greifenbronn.
Greifenbronn was founded about 1,000 years ago by Tordolas, who was chosen by Nebokal near the Lake Bronn to become the first king. After Tordolas, every king was crowned by Nebokal, who was reborn from the waters of Lake Bronn for every coronation ceremony. Only after the last king slayed Nebokal did this end, because the Holy Griffin was not reborn from the waters, and no new king was crowned ever since. What am I doing? The Greifenbronners mainly pray to Dolven, the god of order and balance. As expected of a culture whose most revered deity is the god of order, Greifenbronn has a quite ordered and rigid society, revolving around an inflexible and strict hierarchy that prevents most social mobility. This is by design, because, according to Greifenbronner nobles, every person is born into their place in society and should be happy with their position, for it is the order given by their god Dolven. This societal order is even apparent within their names, the number of names correlating with their status in society. A peasant may only have a single name, while it may take more than one breath to speak the full name of the seneschal of Greifenbronn. Every 7 years, the dukes and counts of Greifenbronn come together to elect a seneschal. The current seneschal is the Duke of Biekheim, who was elected in 1320 and is sometimes characterized as somewhat passive. Because of the arrival of the settlers, at least some of the nobles seem to favor Sibylle von Tresburg as the best choice in the upcoming seneschal election in 1327, as she is known to be bolder and more decisive. 3 duchies came to the Bone Reach to greet the settlers in 1325, when they first came to Sarkhan. These were House Gildwing of Geldrich, House Manfeld of Mandrelin, and the Duchy of Grimwald, whose ruling house is charged with securing the mountain range of Grimwald in the west of Greifenbronn and keeping the orcs there in check. Every visitor to Greifenbronn should remember the most common rules of politeness within Greifenbronn society that may differ from their homeland, especially the importance of full names as well as the washing of hands before entering their camp. And that's it for the first of the new factions. Big shout out to Valeria for letting me read out the texts that she wrote at the Conquest and all the information that she gathered. It is so helpful and so fantastic. Thank you so much. And now, back to the main video.
Alright, now that future me has hopefully very well explained to you who exactly they are and what they wanted to do, I must inform you that I had I had nothing to do with them. I didn't even realize that they were specifically one of the new groups until after the LARP. That's when it started to sink in and I realized, damn, I didn't go to their camp once. I have zero knowledge about them. This is bad. I'm bad at my job that I chose myself. But yeah, Fortingas was, I think, attempting to introduce himself to them, or maybe he already did, but the settlers were not happy about them. They tried to stop him from doing that for some reason, and from what I've heard, that did not necessarily leave a very good impression with the new factions, as we're gonna see later on as well. Because to the new factions, right, we were on a new continent. You have to imagine that actually, within the lore, we went to a new continent with its own inhabitants, and they see some kind of very important person coming to them to introduce himself to them, and then you see the settlers just being like, "Nuh-uh, you're not allowed to because we say so. We're gonna attack you now." So I can kind of see why that wouldn't exactly leave the best impression on the people of Sarkhan. So yeah, was that a successful battle? I'm not sure. But as that was going on, some more people from the Undead Flesh actually came into the atelier where Valeria and I were still hanging out, and one of them was very interested in my magical staff, and I just kind of awkwardly tried to have a conversation with her. The only thing was she could not speak, or simply didn't. I don't know if she just chose to not speak or couldn't. But I did try to communicate with her, rather unsuccessfully. And then a certain master merchant of the undead joined the conversation.
Target acquired.
And because I still at that time, and now as well, had almost no knowledge of the lore and did not know what to talk about with these people, I was basically like, you know who's very interested in your story and your people? My friend Sirenia! And so I dragged her into it, poor Sirenia, because she did actually have some questions for the undead, but I did catch her off guard with that a little bit. I'm sorry. But that actually led to quite an interesting situation because they were actually open to talking with us.
Did you hear about the decree by our king, Garvan the Great and Terrible? You see, in the wisdom that our king has had for many eons, he has decided that he stretches out his hand towards the settlers and give them an opportunity to serve as living citizens within the Ancorian Empire. Aye, for victory by the undead flesh is inevitable. We have lived for eons, and you settlers have fought us for what? 20 years? How long is this fight gonna take? We have all the time in the world.
So they told us about basically what their people's plan was, and specifically what their King Garvan, the Great and Terrible, had planned for us, and also his very kind attempt of including us into his realm. They had little contracts that essentially the content of them was, hey, if you sign this contract, we're not gonna kill you immediately on the battlefield. Instead, you are going to live with us until you're like the ripe age of 40, and then we get to harvest you for your limbs and body because that's how the undead flesh live. But you can also, in the meantime, have lots of children so we have more to harvest from. Isn't that a fantastic deal? So they were going around with these contracts, and we actually, they showed us one of them as well, and we're very keen on making sure that if we do sign it, because it's obviously a great offer, that we sign with their specific levy.
When one of you settlers would sign the contract, firstly, it would be with one of the levies. It would not be for the entire undead flesh. But say you sign the contract with Saint Victoria's Rest, you become a living citizen under the protection of our Provost and Lord. Or if you sign a contract with, say, Aidenhall, Silvermar, Icemark or Dampshore, you'll become a living citizen under their jurisdiction. And it is either that, living as a living citizen under our great king, Garvan the Great and Terrible, for maybe 20, 30, 40 more years, or perish within the coming years. It is a just offer by our great king, Garvan the Great and Terrible. If you sign the contract, there might be more information provided to you in time, when you have shown that beside the contract you also serve Garvan, not only on paper but also in deeds.
That was an interesting encounter, but that's exactly why I love the Atelier so much, because you can almost guarantee that whenever you go there, something along those lines is gonna happen. There's always something interesting happening in the Atelier. So I love to just hang out there because shit just happens. And actually, as we were talking to these two, one of the undead came by with this gorgeous lady from us, from the settlers, and she had just signed the contract.
May I introduce you to Natalia, who joined our ranks as a living citizen of St. Victoria's.
I see.
And my servant.
Yes, you will be with his servant as well.
Very well done, journeyman. Master.
Thank you.
I just hope she's okay. Only time will tell if she made the right choice or not. I have not seen her since. And that definitely does not have anything to do with the fact that it was 12,000 people at the event. But yeah, that was that. Afterwards, we made our way back into the truss. And I actually, at that point, had already gotten the signature on that card that I needed to get. And the thing is, that character that I got the card signed for is someone who is constantly on the move. Except for this year. I kept running into him everywhere. Which in theory was good, but it made my whole journey of 2024, where I was desperately trying to find him, seem so unnecessary. But yeah, I found him in the Tross, and he basically just poured his entire coin purse into mine.
So, dann gucken wir die andere Seite nochmal kurz an.
Es ist schön, wenn man nicht groß verhattelt ist. Ich vertraue dir dann, ne, dass du...
Ich mache dir das Ding jetzt einfach voll. Also.
Cool. Dankeschön.
Ich danke dir. Fantastisch.
Ja,
Kriegst
cool. Und ja, ich denke schon. Kannst du kurz mal die Schnüre halten?
Ja. Es tut mir leid. Es tut mir leid.
Ja, schrecklich. Wie kannst du...
Ein Mordanschlag mit Kupfer.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. I got a lot of coin, he was happy. Task fulfilled successfully. Ow. I'm abandoning the ear cuffs because they are physically attacking me. Okay, it is now 2:30. Oh, the candle is going down. What? Anyway, where was I?
Yes, this was this morning's attack on the roses.
It was an attack on the roses. It's a bit sad that you know and I don't.
Ah, yes, we were told about the attack in the Realm of Roses, and also that very same guy told us a bit about the lore that they figured out, specifically that within the Labyrinth / Mushroom Forest, there was a gigantic spider, and also a Wendigo. So after we found out about these wonderful creatures in the Labyrinth, we wanted to go to find the mushroom people again. But we were joined randomly by a girl from the Realm of Roses from, I think, some kind of entertainment group. I don't know exactly who they were, but they looked very fascinating. So this group of people came with us, and Sirenia at this point had already figured out quite a few things about which group to go to get what kind of thing, because each group of these new people could give the players something that would allow the players to stay longer in the labyrinth. And specifically the people that had joined us wanted to find the mushroom people because they could make a tea that would allow you to stay in the labyrinth for 15 minutes longer. And just like that, all the other things that you could gather from the other groups of people also would each give you 15 minutes longer in the labyrinth. And so Sirenia ended up bringing these people to the Dragonhunters, actually, because she had spent some time with them already and knew that they, or specifically their alchemist, could also do something to help them. And this is where I present to you the introduction to the Dragonhunters. I feel like with this, I could actually audition for the Dragonhunters. I mean, look at this. It's a baby dragon. I did not slay it. Cass was at fault. The Dragonhunters fight the many monsters that haunt the Bone Reach. Thanks to them, the monsters are kept in check, but their work is far from done, for there are always more monsters emerging from the dark and forgotten places of the Bone Waste. Their dangerous profession created a hardy and tough people who regularly choose to risk their lives to hunt these terrible creatures of their own free will. Their great bravery is not only commendable, but also allows the Vibalians to tend to their lands in peace. While they trade with the Vibalians and help them in case of monster threats, the Dragonhunters remain neutral and are quite proud of their independence. The Dragonhunters value strength and have formed, perhaps unsurprisingly, quite a martial culture. But it is not only pure strength of arms which is respected. Besides those that kill the beasts, other professions are also held in high regards. The trackers find the dangerous monsters in the waste. The healers, some using fire magic, tend to the wounded. Watchers are the alchemists of the hunting groups, creating potions and concoctions from the materials of the bone waste, while ritualists and flamekeepers are experienced in the use of magic. The least respected in the hunting groups are the newcomers who have yet to prove themselves. They are often used as bait to lure monsters out of their lairs and often even called bait instead of their names. This cold cynicism towards the value of their lives is only lessened after they manage to prove themselves. Nevertheless, a certain disregard for their own lives seems to be present with all dragon hunters.
The gods most prominently worshipped within the Dragonhunter society are Kas, the goddess of the hunt, who gives the strength for the hunt, and Odris, the god of the wind, who they pray to return them safely to their camps. Although she is not seen as a god, all dragon hunters revere Mintra, the founder of the dragon hunters and chosen of Kas. That being said, the worship of other gods beside Kas and Odris is not uncommon, because many join the dragon hunters from other cultures and lands, bringing with them the worship of gods that were more common in their homeland. Often, Vibalians, who cannot align themselves with the strict way of life of their people, or Greifenbronn people who have difficulties submitting to the harsh hierarchy and unflexible rules of their homeland, find their way to the Bone Waste, exchanging the shackles of control and order for the often short but free life of a dragon hunter. That does not mean that the dragon hunters are devoid of all rules and hierarchy, just that it is less strict. They are divided into 10 ranks, each increase in rank denoting a great feat they accomplished and earning them more respect from their fellow dragon hunters. That being said, having a higher rank does not automatically mean you can command everyone of a lower rank, as may be the case in Greifenbronn, for example. Instead of oaths of fealty, dragon hunters organize around hunts, which can be called by any full hunter, no matter their fame or rank. Equally, no one is forced to participate, and thus the size of any hunting party depends on the popularity of the prey and the caller of the hunt both. Therefore, a hunter of a high rank, who calls for the hunt of a great monster, and who is trusted and respected among their peers, may have many answer their call, while far fewer would follow a more uncommon hunter of a low rank. While hunts are called for all manners of different monsters, the exact definition of a monster is slightly different depending on which dragon hunter you ask. And there were cases in the past, as well as with the newly arrived Delavites, that caused discussions as to whether or not they were monsters. One common definition for a monster is that they cannot talk, cannot think, and are steeped in bitterness. Known examples are bitter wolves, giant spiders, werewolves, ghouls, and wendigos. Alrighty, back to future past me.
So Serenia had brought these people to the Dragon Hunters camp, or specifically to their alchemist, because that alchemist could make that potion, which would allow the people to stay in the mushroom forest for 15 minutes longer. So after Serenia had dropped these people off with the alchemist of the Dragon Hunters, we actually went and talked to some other Dragon Hunters, specifically because Serenia wanted to find out more about the gods that they were worshipping.
Kas ist die Göttin der Jagd. Odris ist der Gott des Windes. Und für uns auch der Gott der Heimkehr. Mintra ist keine Göttin, aber eine Gesandte von Kas und die Gründerin von Drachenjägern. Ich bete auch zu Imsali. Sie ist die Göttin des Mondes und der Heilung, beziehungsweise der seelischen Heilung.
And they also told us that they were going to meet the Black Dynasty, or specifically the prince of the Black Dynasty later that day. And this was one of those moments where I got reminded again that the NPCs aren't just there to make a good show for the players. I mean, of course, to some extent, yes, but also they really have just their own plot going on. It's not just everything to look pretty for the players. They really have their own deep story and lore going on, and they wanted to introduce themselves to these new groups, of course, to make a good impression, and they actually managed to do that. And lore-wise, we had actually only just arrived on this new continent, so dynamics were actively shifting. And that made it also really interesting for us to see how the new factions were reacting, well, of course, to the Forsaken, but also to us, to the settlers. And I had a feeling from the very beginning that because we are constantly trying to look for beef, we would not exactly give off the best impression, and later, one of the Dragon Hunters would confirm that they indeed had the impression that the only ones who were actively constantly seeking beef, or seeking it the most, were us, the settlers, the good guys. The Forsaken actually continuously had been pretty friendly with all these Sarkanian groups. So, yeah, that's definitely, hopefully not gonna become a problem at some point. But yeah, anyway, after we talked to the Dragon Hunters, we took all the knowledge that we had gathered and brought it, of course, where else, to the atelier. And we wrote down specifically knowledge that we had gathered about the gods because they wanted to know about that. And it was all of a sudden my task to write that on a chalkboard because everybody else claimed to have terrible handwriting, so the task fell upon me, who also doesn't have the best handwriting, but suddenly I was involved and I did it. And then I got jump scared terribly by Fiera, who had managed to very elegantly sneak up upon me.
Ich glaube, dann würde ich mir noch mal was
And then shortly after, the rest of this friend group from the West arrived, and we just kind of lore dropped everything that we had found out about the Dragonhunters and also about the Vibalians. We also invited them to a theater play that was gonna happen later that we had overheard in the atelier. But I'm gonna get to that a bit later. Then this friend group from the West actually told us that they had a pretty accurate map of specifically this labyrinth in the mushroom forest. And they invited us to go in there with them, which for me was perfect because of course I wanted to get that footage. But for Serenia and for her character, it didn't make sense because she wanted her character to be kind of wary and slightly afraid, so her character wouldn't just voluntarily go into a forest that she doesn't know. And in theory, my character probably wouldn't either, but I wanted to get that footage. And also they were a huge group of experienced warriors, and so my character, Aliyah, felt safe enough to go with them, of course. But as it would later turn out, it wasn't quite as easy as they hoped it would be. So anyway, after that little exchange of knowledge with our friends from the West, they actually went out and tried to find the Vibalians, because at that point, neither us nor this friend group of ours knew where the camp of the Vibalians even was. So they went out to search for it, and in the meantime, we went back to the atelier, where we had been told that, hey, fun fact, by the way, there's some diplomats from the Black Dynasty here right now, and they really want to talk to settlers, so if you feel like it, come and hang out with them. But just a few seconds after we were told that information, the people from the West came back to us and were like, by the way, we just found the Vibalians. It took them like 10 seconds, because as it turned out, the camp of the Vibalians was just, if you just left the entrance of the atelier, you just had to go a straight line, and that's where the camp was. So yeah, it was there all along, and we were just blind. And now it is yet again time for a little intermission.
How is this supposed to look? How are you supposed to... Anyway, sorry for jump scaring you with this gigantic tortilla on my head. I'm not a fan of straw heads, but it is Vibalian culture, so we're doing this. If there's any Vibalian NPCs from the Conquest lore out there watching this right now and you're in need of a straw head, message me on Instagram and I'll bring it to the Koningen or to the Conquest, because I'm not gonna wear this ever, so yeah, let me know if you need it. The Vibalian culture started around 400 to 600 years ago, when the founder of their culture, Vibalian Lim, started a small community to push back the bitterness. The city she founded, named after herself, Lim, at the shore of the Lim Lake, is still to this day the unofficial capital of the Vibalians. The gods worshipped by the Vibalians are mainly Unda, goddess of water, and Videborg, god of healing and the earth. They often tend to worship using communal singing. The Vibalians are a pacifist culture and dislike violence, to the point that none who have killed can join or remain with the Vibalians. Vibalians are permitted to leave their culture, but should they have taken lives, they can never return. But few actually leave the Vibalians, and even less join them from the outside. The Vibalians create both small villages and big cities in the Bone Reach, cultivating the land and fighting the bitterness emerging from the mushroom forests. The ritual to clean the bitterness emerging from the land includes a single drop of Vibalian blood. The bitterness is deadly, with symptoms starting with coughing and fever and ending in death. Almost all Vibalian settlements know how to heal a person from bitterness. Should you enter a Vibalian settlement, please remember to wash your disgusting, dirty, gross hands. That's exactly how it's written here. And only step into the healing tent with your right foot first. The Vibalians also only accept coins in some settlements and generally prefer exchanges of goods. The highest authority among the Vibalians are their healers. While they enjoy a lot of respect among their people, they do not truly rule them, and most important decisions are made by vote among the members of the community. Not just any Vibalian can become a healer, a grower, or any other job. Between the ages of 12 and 18, every Vibalian child is participating in a ritual which decides which group or job they join. The children that fail the ritual become fighters. They live outside but close to the Vibalian community and protect them in case of threat. The relationship between the Vibalians and the Dragonhunters is quite good, for they protect the settlements from the monsters roaming the Bone Reach. On the other hand, the relationship between the Tuvrani and the Vibalians is almost hostile, or rather as bad as the pacifist Vibalians can imagine. This is because the Tuvrani are growing the mushroom forests that the Vibalians are burning down to stop the bitterness from spreading. Note, this is biased information. The Tuvrani also fight the bitterness in their own way. See also paper on Tuvrani, which is gonna happen in the next segment. On with the video.
So we spoke to the Vibalians and they told us that they could make a tincture that we could treat our masks with, or literally any piece of cloth you could use. And they would treat it with that tincture to, again, give you 15 extra minutes, like future me hopefully already explained to you. But yeah, after that we actually went to the dragon skeleton and wanted to find out what the dragon hunters were doing there, because, you know, the dragon hunters had told us specifically that they were protecting it, making sure that nobody is doing something they're not supposed to do. And as we got there, there had already been other people. Some of them were wearing masks like they were supposed to. We kind of weren't. Oops. And one group that was there was kind of digging up something, and I don't know what exactly that was, but they dug something up that seemed important to them. And the dragon hunters were okay with it, so whatever they were doing, they got permission. Great, that's cool. After that very short expedition, we went back, or specifically Serenia went back to the atelier immediately. I went to the waterfalls, as we call them, so to the spot at the premises where you can get drinking water. And after that, I went back to the atelier, of course wanted to get into it, but someone there at the entrance was telling me that apparently that wasn't possible because something important was going on in the atelier.
Can I pass through?
There will be something that is dangerous going on
inside right now.
So I advise you to not go in.
No one.
Impossible.
Okay.
So then, of course, as the upstanding citizen that my character is, she snuck through the back entrance. But it didn't really matter anyway, because Serenia and I shortly after that just immediately left, because we still wanted to go and see the Tuvrani people. And we went back to their camp and saw that there was already quite a big line of people waiting for them. So we just kind of joined them and started to wait with them and talk to them a bit. And in line with us was a group of musicians, and that was just so perfect because they just made the whole waiting process so much better, because the ambience, the vibes were just so good. They were playing just uplifting, happy, light music, and it was just so nice to listen to. And that combined with the distant war cries of some people who were involved in some kind of battle again, it just made for such a perfect ambience soundtrack. And people had actually figured out that the Tuvrani people enjoyed music, and that's actually why some of them came there with their instruments specifically to play music for them. And then, all of a sudden, the Tuvrani people opened their home to us, and this huge group of players just flooded the camp of the Tuvrani entirely. But they were okay with that, so it's all good. And now it is time to introduce to you guys the Tuvrani people.
Welcome to the introduction of the Tuvrani people. I cannot move my face very much because otherwise these things will fall off. So you guys are now truly getting the Hollywood Botox experience. I am so excited, I am positively radiating with joy. Anyway, the Tuvrani. The Tuvrani people are nomads that kind of live in a forest that moves with them, because the Tuvrani people, as well as this mushroom forest that they wander around the Bone Reach in, is all connected to and created by the so-called Michele, which is basically a fungus that lives in the soil of the Bone Reach, and it's like a fungus network essentially, and it can make any type of mushroom sprout anywhere at once. And according to the Inquisition, it does qualify as a god, but it seems to be an actual, visible being that has created the Tuvrani people as well. Which leads me to think that maybe the Tuvrani people were just dead people that were in the soil of the Bone Reach that the Michele kind of crawled into and now uses them as a host, and the people are dead and it's really only the mushroom speaking? I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it has been a theory for others as well. Maybe it has been confirmed, I don't know. But I do think I've seen enough of The Last of Us to qualify as an expert on the topic, so if that is the case, gross. But aside from the Tuvrani people, this Michele can also just make huge mushrooms pop up that can be used as furniture, or some mushrooms are just glowing and looking pretty, and some mushrooms are edible, some mushrooms are very, very deadly, and some of them are used for their color particles, I guess. So the Michele can create a lot of pretty mushroom things. But also the Tuvrani people have a very unique language that they communicate with, or, well, they are able to speak our language, the common tongue, which means German basically, and the trader's tongue as well, which is English. But they also make these really adorable little clicky noises that essentially they use to communicate with each other. And as I have mentioned before, the Tuvrani people are having beef with the Vibalians because the Tuvrani people say that the Vibalians are burning down their mushroom forests, while the Vibalians are saying that the Tuvrani people are spoiling their fields with the gross, disgusting mushroom spores and also spoiling their food supplies. So yeah, they are having trouble, but essentially they do fight for the same thing, which is that they are both trying to get rid of the bitterness in the bone field. So maybe we as settlers, or the settlers, of course I don't consider myself one of them, but maybe it is up to the players to kind of get them to work together to end the bitterness in the bone field. So yeah, can we do that? Who knows? We'll see in the future. Also, the mushroom people could help the players be in the mushroom forest longer by making a certain tea for them, which I believe you had to pay for with natural ingredients of some sort. I don't think they accepted coins to get the tea. I think you had to bring them something else, but I'm not sure what that was. I think it was just some kind of natural materials that they wanted to have, or was it the Vibalians? Anyway, that's it for the Tuvrani people. I would say let's go back to the video. I would smile, but I can't.
Thank you, future me. It is now currently 3 a.m. I really want to go to sleep. So anyway, people were very interested in the Tuvrani and what they were about, how they functioned, who were they following, whose side were they on, what did they believe in. It was just a lot of talking going on everywhere. And the Tuvrani, as future me just explained to you, are very fascinating people to watch. So for me, it was enough to just stand there and kind of watch what they were doing, or specifically how they were talking, how they were moving, and how they were interacting with the players. And with them, we had a similar situation that we had with the Dragonhunters, because the Tuvrani had already met the undead flesh. They had introduced themselves to the Tuvrani and were very friendly towards them. And they also had told the Tuvrani that essentially us, the settlers, were the bad guys who invaded their home and destroyed everything and brought chaos. And so the players around us who were talking to the Tuvrani had to first convince the Tuvranis that, hey, we're not the bad guys. Here's why. But yeah, generally I really liked the entire getup of the Tuvrani people and also their camp. And they also had this little glowing cave going on. I just didn't dare to go in there by myself because I didn't want to anger them. So I had no idea if it was okay to go in there or not, so I didn't really get the best footage of it, but it was really so well done. Or generally their entire camp was so well done, I loved it. And as we were in that Tuvrani camp, yet another battle was going on or was starting or something was happening. And it was just so magical to be in this very calm camp of these very calm people and just have this calm, beautiful music playing every now and then. And then you would just hear the most brutal war cries from somewhere out there. Then we went back to the Dragonhunters again, who then told us that this dragon that they were protecting, or the skeleton that remained, was actually killed by their goddess of the hunt, Kas.
Der Drache wurde von Kas, unserer Göttin der Jagd, erlegt. Haben das Untote vielleicht versucht, ihn zu zerstören? Ich weiß nicht, ob die wegen unserem Drachen oder wegen euch da sind. Die sind mit euch gekommen. Das und die schwarze Dynastie auch. Wobei die bis jetzt beide freundlich waren, als sie hier waren. Also am angriffslustigsten haben wir bis jetzt die Siedler erlebt.
Guys, we have an image problem. We need media training ASAP. Anyway, after that, Serenia and I went back to the outpost and actually ran into some of our friends from the west.
Ja, es ist komplett zusammengebrochen. Die Wayfarer sind ab, alle von der linken Flanke sind weg. Wir haben versucht zu halten, nichts davon zu
Ach, ihr werdet zurückgedrängt gerade alle?
Nee, wir sind da nicht komplett weg gewesen. Die rücken gerade wieder aus, aber es macht keinen Sinn für mich auszurücken. Ich habe kein Schwert, ich habe nichts.
Kein Pfeiler.
Was macht ihr?
Ja, wir gehen da sowas von nicht aus. Die Skagen, die waren vorher nicht da, oder?
There's no reason to come up with
Yes.
So after watching that happening for a while, we actually went back to the Vibalians because Serenia still needed information from them. So we went there, we were invited in, and Serenia was talking to the Vibalians, and I in the meantime was just with the utmost fascination, continuously watching what was happening on the battlefield and in the outpost. And also, as that was happening, I suddenly realized that our Archon had been there the entire time. And he didn't really notice or recognize us, mostly because we hadn't really interacted much, or actually at all, with him, which was our fault entirely. Actually, our Niame and Archon were very, very open to newcomers, and actually even said that everybody who's new and who wants to settle in the Realm of Roses can and is very much invited and encouraged to speak to the Archon and to the Niame and basically introduce themselves. Because they are very approachable people too, lore-wise, but it was very much on us that we did not find the right moment to do it. So we just kind of acknowledged them existing around us and sometimes ran into them, and that was it. But it was cool to see our Archon and Yami just doing their thing and joining in on the fun. After that, we went back to our camp, and it actually started to rain a little bit. And also, perfect timing, just after we had arrived, our camp got attacked.
I'm totally not hiding.
So after this short little break, we went back to the atelier because it was almost time for this play that everybody had been talking about. And it wasn't just the undead that wanted to show us a play, it was also announced that there was going to be a sort of counterplay, or just a second play that would happen that was organized by the settlers, so the exact opposite side. So that was definitely a perfect recipe for trouble. And I think I was one of the first people to arrive, and I was so early that at that time, the settler that was going to be the only actor in that play of the settlers was already there and practicing with this gorgeous lady from the atelier, which, by the way, was the lady that made me cry with her speech in 2024. So, love her. So yeah, they were not actually practicing, as I noticed as time went on. I think they were just kind of playing around a bit and just testing things, testing the stage, and just doing this for fun.
Fireball! And tsunami waves! And tornadoes! And earthquakes! And whatever money got it!
And actually, all of a sudden, people started to come in because it was actually time for the play to happen now. Or for both plays, but, you know, the first one was the one of the undead. And you could tell because there were so many of the undead flooding into the atelier. And even the very high nobles among the ranks of the undead were coming by, even Fortingars.
And thus has arrived Lord Fortingars of the Untotish Mice!
And it was actually only then that I realized this guy, this actor from the settlers, wasn't just any random settler. It was a friend of my friend group from the West. They came there to cheer him on. He was the actor. So these friends from the West came by too, of course. And they also noticed that the ratio of settlers and undead flesh was kind of uneven. Let's just say they felt slightly uncomfortable. But now it's time for me to show you some of the footage from both plays because it was magnificent. The audience absolutely passed the vibe check on both sides. It was so much fun to watch. And I'm not going to comment much on it because basically everything that you need to know is that the undead flesh was telling their side of the story of how they believe this part of history happened. And then the settlers were saying,
actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen.
This is how it happened. So make whatever you want of that.
We are the merry regalers of High Street, the famous theatre players from St. Victoria's Rest. You might know us a certain way. You may have fears or doubts, or you have heard lies about us. And so we will tell you a tale that started a long, long time ago, before your grandfathers, grandfathers, grandfathers of even the first settlers took their baby steps. In the spirit of our great king's offer, we would like to invite one of you settlers to share the stage with us.
Who's brave? Who
Yes, that one there.
Who's that?
That is not how we sound. You have tickles. were our burdens as they are for all mortals. But then, our great King Garvon, he discovered the secrets of immortality and shared it with his people.
My baby, it lives again!
Woo! Young again! My family lived again, but I'm sick.
Even the syphilis was cured! Eternally and blessed by the great power of our king, our cities rose even mightier, our guilds crafted pieces for eternity, our armies were strong and everlasting. Jealous, evil. Oh, these Ancorians are too amazing. They smell bad. And above all, this immortality thing is mine! I shall curse you! No! You shall rot forever! No, my
What in the name of Garvon, King of Kings, is going on here, Commons? Where am I?
This is a Father, this is a flame.
A what?
A flame, you remember?
It is blasphemy. What are you doing?
We're talking about this.
Why is this common portraying an elemental art spirit?
Father, it is pretend.
Make believe.
I was there when this happened. This is inaccurate. Terra was way less impressive. Correct it.
Absolutely, Father Zacharias.
Go on.
Yes.
And you should enjoy it. Yes.
Where? These Ancorians are mean to me.
This was entirely canonical.
We are still everlasting, and no curse or scepter or anything on Mythodea or on Farrakhan will end that. If you would like to become a part of our great city, please sign the contract.
You get 5% off if you sign now.
Thank you, Encore! This was wonderful!
Yes.
But I heard that there were some senders who had prepared another side to this story. What?
Sowas von dermaßen laut klatschen wollen jetzt, weil ich glaube, Pfifferling macht das alleine.
Settlers are performing.
This play was inaccurate.
I'll get you.
I am Talon from the west.
I am the Pfifferling, also from the west.
I will be your storyteller tonight. We're gonna do the same story as them, only we will tell the accurate version.
Which is 3 hours long.
Long, long ago, they were kings.
My money. I told you a lie. I will never give it to you, peasant. And I will stay rich.
They like their mining.
Oh yes, I like rocks very much. Shiny rocks. I picked them up.
So they wanted to keep what they had forever. So they experimented. Their quest for immortality grew crazier and crazier. They tried all kinds of potions. Terra saw the misbehaving children. Their faces started to rot away, and they became ugly. Whoa, whoa, we have one. How dare you?
I'm in the middle of here. If you remember any of the first half of that, you will be convicted. What? Very good.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Only remember the first
So after both performances had ended and we were kind of grouped together around this actor friend of my friends of the West, some of the undead were again walking around with the contracts and trying to get settlers to sign with them. And one of them even came up to us.
Everybody of you can join us. All of you can stop this war and be a living part of Encore. Also you can be a part of a real society, a real group of people, have meaning and be without fear. Because no more war. Just sign the contract, just join us. Why won't you come inside? And we will talk about it. Please, please.
I'm not old enough to sign anything.
You can. Everybody of you can. No problem. Please, please, join me.
But unfortunately, he was not successful in convincing any of us to sign this contract, so we just ended up making sure that this actor guy was getting home safe.
Ich habe eine Bitte an euch. Ihr seid wahrscheinlich die Einzigen, die wissen, wer ich bin, bis gerade eben. Falls irgendjemand irgendwo fragt, wie ihr den Pfifferling findet, ihr kennt mich nicht.
Natürlich nicht.
Mir wurde auf dem Weg hinaus von mindestens 2 vom untoten Fleisch gesagt, wenn sie nicht gerade im Atelier wären, würden sie mich verfluchen und sie würden auf jeden Fall hinter mir herkommen und mich vernichten, egal wo ich bin.
Und das sieht man mal
ein Kompliment.
Ganz ehrlich,
ich sehe es für gutes Schauspiel.
Das ist ein Kompliment. Ja, ich komme da noch mitnehmen hier.
Pfifferling, geh nach Hause.
Nach Hause, ja. Ich habe mein Soll für heute getan.
Das ist in Ordnung. Dann passt auf euch auf.
So he just went back and basically hid in the camp. And in the meantime, my friends from the West and a huge group of people went into the mushroom forest. And of course, I joined them.
Gehen wir aber rein und haben keinen Plan, oder was? Das finde ich ein bisschen ungünstig. Keine Information. Scheinbar nicht.
So as we went into this labyrinth, this entire group of us, of course we were prepared, right? We all had little pieces of fabric that we could use to cover ourselves to make sure that we wouldn't get the spores into our lungs. And also everybody had been drinking this tea that they got from the Tuvrani. And so it was really exciting to go in there, but also all those people were very confident about going in there because, of course, they had a very accurate map that they had acquired of this labyrinth. So they were confident that they could just easily go through it. The only problem was, as we were in that labyrinth, all of a sudden the people noticed that the map was no longer accurate. And that's where things got interesting.
Gut. Allesamt zurück zur Kreuzung, hier geht's nicht weiter. Sackgasse ist nicht eingezeigt.
Because the map had been accurate the night before, but what they didn't know was that overnight some of the paths that were previously open were now overgrown. You could no longer go through them. but at the same time other paths were now open. So the map was not entirely useless, but not as helpful as they had hoped it would be. And all of a sudden we found ourselves in the middle of the labyrinth, where there was this kind of open area and a sarcophagus.
Oh, wir sind irgendwo. Oh Mann, das gefällt mir überhaupt nicht. Ich bin bei dir.
Okay, lass mal kurz drumherum ein bisschen verteilen.
Ja, ich glaube, ich bin nicht sicher, weil der Sarg wurde, laut Lotta, schon vom untoten Fleisch geöffnet.
Ja, die haben geguckt, aber gut drin.
But there was nothing we could do there, and there was no one else there. And also, our time was starting to run out at this point. And as we went on, more and more people kept walking past us, trying to get back out because they had run into a dead end. And people were coughing and wheezing and desperately trying to get some air. And things got more and more tense as we heard more fighting noises and people walking past us, warning us, hey, careful. Lot of Black Dynasty people in there. Lot of undead flesh in there. Basically everything bad is in there. Are you sure you want to continue?
Musik lang?
Kampfgeräusche? Kampfgeräusche?
Platz machen.
Platz machen. Ganz viel schwarzes Eis.
Ich weiß gar nicht, wo ich bin.
Oh! Achtet immer noch auf euren Rücken.
Die schwarze Dynastie will wissen, was wir suchen und wo wir hinwollen. Und wir das ausfragen, das wollen wir nicht beantworten.
Ich will mir nur die Pilze angucken. Wir haben echt Wichtigeres zu tun.
Leute, die klauen uns Zeit. Geht vorbei, lasst uns durch oder wir schneiden euch um. Alle rechts rüber hier von uns bitte. Lass die schwarzen Motten hier durch. Komm, geht mal alle vorbei.
Wir haben keine Zeit.
Hier an die Seite. Viel Spaß mit dem Uhr. Ich hab keine Lust mehr.
Wir müssen in spätestens 3 Augenblicken zurück.
Ja, dann schnell vorwärts.
Zurück!
Rückzug, dann gehen wir
Jetzt zurück!
Wenn wir nach vorne durchgehen, wir gehen zurück.
So at that point we realized, okay, we need to get out of here. This is not gonna be successful at all. We don't have enough time left and we don't know where to go or what to do now.
Wir müssen schnell raus. Wer fehlt?
Schneller!
Ja, einen großen Abstand.
Hi. Die müssen schneller laufen, sonst wird die Zeit ab.
Ja, dann müssen sie rennen. Also das ist ja, wir verrecken hier jetzt nicht alle, weil die zu langsam laufen.
Ich dachte rechts.
Nee, da ist ein Fisch gewachsen. Da ist ein Fisch gewachsen. Ihr müsst links, rechts, damit ihr überhaupt irgendwo hinkommt. Der Rest ist ganz Sackgasse.
So we tried to get back out, and we were very close to the exit. On our way back out, all of a sudden, one of us realized that there was an unfamiliar face looking at us from the dark.
Hallo! Da steht Untot.
Da steht Untot?
Wenn ihr leise gewesen wärt, hättet ihr sie gehört. Sie haben mehr Krach gemacht als eine ganze Zwerge.
Wir müssen raus. Unser Problem ist, wir
Krass, ihr könnt
raus. Ja, wir müssen unsere Leute jetzt raus.
Leute, wir wissen, was da geht. Hier lang, rechts.
Hier ist der Notausgang.
We got jump scared by someone from the undead flesh. And of course, me not knowing what was going on, I was with the team of, I'm out of here. I just ran for the exit. Along with some other people of the group though, okay? I wasn't the only one who was running scared. But some people stayed in the maze to try and fight the undead in there, even though we only had like 2 minutes left. So we were out there and some people started to yell and shout for them in the maze and were like, stop trying to fight them, get out of there. And eventually they did. Bit by bit they kept coming out, but they were obviously staying in there for too long, so they were coughing. Some of them were kind of delirious and confused, just like I am right now, because it's almost 4 a.m. Oh my god! Okay, I really underestimated this. I'm tired of this, Grandpa. I chose this. I did this to myself. Pushing through. Ow.
Was? Dass wir da auf unser Fleisch gekommen sind? Nee, ich stehen geblieben, damit wir ganz hinten sind. Ich dachte, der eine Typ ist Torf. Ich so, Torf, er so, Rack. Lauf!
Weil die kam halt auch so bewusst an mit ihrer Kapuze und ich denke so, das ist keiner von uns.
Der Torf hat halt auch die ganze Zeit so eine scheiß Kapuze.
Ja. Das war perfekt, das war einfach perfekt.
So after that whole ordeal, everybody was tired. This entire group just went back to the west, and I, of course, since the Realm of Roses was right around the corner, I could just stay there, and then tried to fall asleep to the aggressive drumming of the Blood Pact. Day 5, Friday. Friday for me personally started with a really nice walk through the Truss, specifically because I ran into someone who was playing Witcher music. So that was just freaking beautiful. And generally the entire morning was just accompanied by music everywhere in the Truss that was just so calm and relaxing and beautiful to listen to. And in the meantime, Serenia was already back at the atelier again to fulfill her quest and write some more stuff. And of course, there was yet another battle about to start, and this time I wanted to go with my friends from the west again, and I was determined to stay on the battlefield longer than before. I was not gonna be as scared as before this time. Still very scared, but not just quite as much as before. So I was just waiting by the battlefield or just walking around the whole time because I didn't know if they had already been on the battlefield or if they were actively fighting right now or if they never went in the first place. Because the commands can sometimes change as well, and when one troop says they're gonna be there and fight, who knows, the commander of the whole army might decide, no, we're doing this different, and so I had no idea where to look for them. And so I was just by the battlefield and just honestly watching for a while what was going on and just kind of taking in the cozy battlefield ambience. You know, there's nothing more calming than screams of agony. But it was actually pretty cool to just watch what was happening on the side of the battlefield, because I could see things like people giving out water to everybody who needed it. Or people just very quickly reacting to someone getting hurt. For instance, I did see or hear people immediately calling for a paramedic when someone got hurt. And it was very cool to see just how quickly people would spread the word about that until it reached the side of the battlefield where the paramedics were already sitting and waiting. And then also to watch just how fast either a paramedic on a quad was coming by, or if necessary, an entire ambulance car. And then I actually was on my way to the camp of my friends in the west, and I did hear singing of the people from the west because they have a very distinct song. But I did not see my friends with them, so I continued on to their camp. And I did find them there, and then they told me that they had, in fact, already been on the battlefield, and I just hadn't seen them, I had missed them. But they did tell me that they were gonna go onto the battlefield the next day, and then I could definitely come with them. So after that, I went back to the Realm of Roses, and as I was going there, I walked past a group of the Undead Flesh who sang the most amazing song.
We want them to be gone. That's the reason why we have to go to war.
Damn it! Why do the bad guys always have the best songs? Honestly, they should have led with that in their contract. That might have convinced me to actually join them, rather than this whole, you're gonna live until you're 40 and then blah blah blah. Who cares? They have the better songs. I might have considered joining them. And then right after that, I witnessed another wonderful exchange between the undead and a settler.
Ich hab nichts mit ihm gemeint. Außer den Geruch.
Ja, du riechst gut. Komm nach uns, komm nach uns.
I love these little moments, and I love witnessing them, and I love so much that I get to film this kind of stuff and look back at it, because otherwise I would never have remembered this moment, but that was just so perfect. It's these little moments that I love the most.
Druiden.
After that, I was yet again back in the Tross, probably to get some food, I think. I don't recall. But I did run into some people from the Realm of Roses that I had remembered. And they actually told me that at 7 p.m. that day, in our camp in the Realm of Roses, there would be a fish fight. And it had some diplomatic cause to it.
Um 13 Uhr findet ein Fischkampf zu Ehren irgendwie statt
Bei
bei uns.
uns? Gut zu wissen. Bis gerade eben war ich da noch nicht. Jetzt könnte sich das ändern. Ja,
mit Musik, Speis und Trank. Schönweiler veranstaltet das Ganze. Und Musiker sind eingeladen, mehrere verschiedene Truppen.
But obviously, if you tell me that there's gonna be a fish fight and I have no idea what that means, I need to be there. But not only did I know that there was gonna be this fish fight, afterwards there was gonna be another festival, the Fest of Culture and Arts. And that was a very important event that I definitely knew I needed to attend, because a certain very specific special reading would be happening later. And if you have seen Skilltree's video, you might have an idea what that would be about. And don't worry, I'm gonna show you in a bit. And then these two also told me that that very same night the Wendigo was supposed to be slain too, but at that point that whole plot thing was just miles away from me. I kind of knew that was happening, but that was going on over here and I was somewhere over there. And then I was on my way back to the atelier to find Serenia again, but I happened to run into a very strange thing. I saw a group of people just very quietly walking very close to one another. And as I got closer to them, I realized that they all had their hands on each other's shoulders. And in the middle of them was one of the mushroom people, but one that I had not seen before. And this one seemed kind of special. The whole look, the entire outfit was very elaborate. So I thought, okay, this is probably, I guess, the elder of the mushroom people, or some kind of very important person to them. And this person had not been there before, so I supposed that the players must have done something to rescue or free that mushroom person, or some kind of lore must have happened there. Again, I don't know what exactly happened, but of course I was curious, so I just followed along. As I was following them, I realized that they were walking towards the Tuvrani camp, which of course made sense. And I could kind of tell that this mushroom person was in some kind of very weak state. And as they were all settling down in the Tuvrani camp, more and more people came in and of course wanted to see what was going on. And as I was listening to the people around me, it was more and more clear that this mushroom person needed help somehow. And one of the settlers said, "Don't worry, we called the Inquisition for help." Hello! I'm sorry for this non-transition into the Inquisition intermission, but I just kind of forgot to
do a proper segue into this as I was filming the videos, so yeah, let me just very quickly and abruptly introduce the Inquisition to you guys. The Inquisition as a group had formed after the so-called Great Mage Wars on Sarkhan, which I don't know much about, but apparently there had been mages who did war, and they kind of overused or abused the sources of magic. They used too much magic. And used it irresponsibly, and the Inquisition basically founded themselves to put an end to that and to make sure that magic is used in a controlled and responsible manner. But their methods may not have been the most gentle, so yeah, people have different views on them, and that's also why Serenia was kind of not so excited about going to the Inquisition and talking to them. But after, on our home continent, Mitraspera, which was the continent we had been on up until this year, where we had been on Sarkhan for the first time, because on Mitraspera the use of magic has also led to chaos and destruction, people are now very interested in how the Inquisition kind of keeps things in check. You know, some people at least are interested in that, and others, mostly magic users, are a bit cautious, but right now we're not having any grand beef with them, so let's hope it stays that way. But yeah, it was because of the Inquisition that this year players who used magic had to pay a bit more attention to how they were using it, and that they weren't using too much of it especially. And also the price for magic was higher. And I actually saw how players showed that and portrayed that in different ceremonies or events that I saw, that I attended, where you could really see it was taking a toll on their characters when they did use magic. And at least I feel like players really did that quite well, or at least for these important situations. I didn't really see any of the players being indifferent about it or not reacting properly. Surely some players did, but at least I didn't really see any of the players going up to the Inquisition being like, "Oh, really? For you guys, magic destroyed so much? Oh man, that sucks." So yeah, that's the Inquisition for you, or at least everything I know about them so far. I obviously do want to learn more about them, but that is all I have for now. So, oh, and before I forget it, if any of you little shitheads just now went to the comments to say something like, "This outfit doesn't have anything to do with the Inquisition." True. Correct. It doesn't have much to do with the Inquisition, except for the colors. Okay? That's it. I didn't have anything else. Is that okay? What the fuck am I doing? What happened then was that the Inquisition did appear, and they used their magic somehow. And specifically, they used fire magic. But, as they mentioned that, the mushroom people actually got kind of nervous and got scared even to some extent, or what I interpreted to be some kind of fear. They did just not react well to the word fire. And then the Inquisition people told them, "Don't worry, we're not going to use actual fire, we're just trying to warm you up, I suppose." And the Tuvrani people did allow for that to happen. And so I just witnessed this kind of ritual that was happening without knowing what was going on, but I'll just show you some of what was going on there. I also overheard some settlers talking about how they wanted to get rid of the ice crystals in the forest, and apparently, from what I've gathered, the Black Dynasty had
so to say, planted some ice crystals in specific areas of Sarkhan to kind of drain energy from the land. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what they wanted to do, or actually managed to do, and the settlers, of course, wanted to help the mushroom people to get rid of those. And I think they managed to actually do that as well. Anyway, after that ritual thingy, I went back to the atelier to find a very large group of the Black Dynasty members in front of it. And again, something was happening there. They had a woman with them that was in a very concerning condition. No clue what happened there. They let her go eventually. I don't know if it was supposed to be some kind of power play from the Black Dynasty, or I don't know, man. I'm too tired to question it, okay? But they let the woman escape. She ran away, and then they just casually walked into the atelier like nothing happened. And there was some kind of initiation going on. Again, someone got a title, then someone, I think, got killed or just hurt severely, or maybe revived. I don't know, bro. It's whatever. That's the Black Dynasty for you.
They may all come closer, so everyone can hear something.
You blinded ones that you are seeking enlightenment, acolytes of the Ascent. We are the presence of Amon Valar, Almabantu, breaker of chains and the Black Prince. See and be in awe, my lord. We bring to you the spoils of war from this new land. Present the seals of emotion, harvested from acolyte and foe alike, to please his essence. Also present to his essence the crystals that have drawn the remaining life force from this new world that we stepped into. They are growing as they are growing in the fields of Theria. They are taking what is left in this land and bring it to his power. Let us present these with the result of standing in your way. Bring forth the Black Diamond. Dieser Akolyt, geschaffen auf dem Weg zur Perfektion, strauchelte. This one feels what must not be felt. This one feels friendship. This one must be cleansed. Correctors, come now forth and do the bidding of our Lord.
In the name of Amon Valar, I take the friendship, pull it into my crystal, and through me into the black continuum, through me into him, Amon Valar.
Oh my lord! Must this be? This one is my brother in arms. Mein Waffenbruder liegt dort. Ist dies nötig? My lord!
Das ist euer effektivster
Wollt ihr das, was geschehen muss, um weiterhin dem Weg zu dienen?
Ja, setzt euch!
Antwortet!
Euer Wille ist alles, was dieser Rack braucht.
Holt es raus, was auch immer es ist. Quält. Denn wir lassen niemanden lange leiden. Es ist nicht so, dass wir unbeteiligt zusehen bei all der Qual, die ihr erleiden müsst, die er erleiden muss, wenn er dasteht, mit diesen Gefühlen, mit diesem Schmerz, den er empfindet. Er darf ihn abgeben. Und dann darf er wieder erwachen. In dieser schönen Zukunft. Dort, wo hingehört. Zu seinesgleichen. Unsterblich. You shall be the one to lead the Pulvis army. Rise as Grandmaster Pulvis.
Hua Pulvis! Hua Pulvis! Hua Pulvis! Hua Pulvis! Hua Pulvis! Hua Pulvis!
But after that happened, the Black Prince actually stayed there for a while longer, and people were able to have an audience with him. So I don't really know what people usually use this time with him for, but from what I've overheard, you just need to kind of stroke his ego a bit, and then he's usually kind of open to whatever it is you're saying. So that was interesting to find out, and I'm glad that my character learned that, because that could be useful later on, who knows. According to my script, afterwards I went back to watch the battlefield from afar, and then I went back to the Realm of Roses to witness an initiation ritual. Okay. Why did I put in there that I went back to watch the battlefield? I guess I have some kind of clip that I want to show you guys, otherwise I would probably not have put that in the script, so I don't remember, but roll the clip, I guess. If not, then let me just continue.
neuer Freundschaftsträger. Jubel!
And after that, the fish fight started, and that was so good, honestly. As far as I know, it was only leaders from different camps, and they were fighting against each other, and they really delivered such a good show. It was so fun to watch because they really play fought with each other so well. They were throwing each other around, shoving each other to the ground, but never actually aggressively. It was just like one was shoving another and the other made sure to really play it out and really fall down with a lot of oomph. And it was so fun to watch. Yeah, it was some kind of diplomatic situation that was happening there. Again, I don't know what exactly that was about, but it was really cool to watch. And afterwards, we got a fire and or music show. So that's when I think the Fest of Arts and Culture was starting to happen. And that was also really nice to watch for me personally, because in 2024 I had gotten a lot more chances to just hang out in the Tross and watch some of the fire shows that were happening there pretty much every night. But this time I didn't really have any moments in the Tross during the night where I was just hanging out there. So it was nice that I did get to see a fire show after all, and a pretty good one as well, and an hour camp too, so I really enjoyed that. And then finally came the absolute highlight of the day, the smut reading. I had been waiting for this because I had watched Skilltree's video about their experience at the Realm of Roses listening to that smut reading. And so I was really excited for it. And the thing is, I already had kind of high expectations for it, and still it exceeded my expectations. Because, not gonna lie, the stuff that was written there, it was written so well. Like, actually, really, the story was so well written. I would have read that as a book. Honestly. And you know what? I'm just gonna play some of the clips for you guys because I just need you to witness that. Just as a quick warning though, you're gonna notice every now and then in the clips there were children appearing. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if the parents of them just didn't know what was happening there. Some people tried to take the children away and tell them to leave, but they just kept reappearing. They just spawned there every now and then. But the thing is, the text was written in a way that nothing was very explicit, you know. Everything was kind of written in a way where adults get it, but children don't. So they were just kind of there because they heard people laughing and cheering very loudly, so they were curious what was going on. And they saw people playing with these little puppets to kind of illustrate what was happening in the show, so that's what they were watching. So, but just so you know, they weren't supposed to be there. It was an 18+ event in theory.
Dear little bunch, we're gathered here today to read this. You are an assassin sent to take out the Archon of the Realm of Roses. But as captain of the Thorn Guard manages to catch you, and suddenly your night takes a very different turn. Tonight, we will read a tangle of thorns. My fingers grip the hard wooden poles of the railing as I peered out towards the Archon's room. The door towards the garden stood open, almost begging for me to slip inside. We haven't even gotten to the button. I had scarcely believed my luck as I had watched the handsome blonde man leave it open just a few hours earlier. I flung back the covers, lunging forward, my knife lunged down, and a spray of white feathers erupted, filling the room. Cold iron bit into the delicate skin of my throat, a stark contrast to the heat of the arm wrapped around my waist. I inhaled sharply as I was pulled roughly against the hard, muscled chest. I barely had time to register what had happened before I felt a warm breath ghosting over the shell of my ear, and a voice low and edged with danger asked quietly, but not quietly enough for the back row to hear.
What's a girl like you doing in a place like this?
Stubble. The kind that begged to be traced with reckless fingers. But his eyes, oh by the elements, his eyes, searing, impossibly, bright blue, sparked with something dangerous, something playful, something that caught you, held you, and refused to let go. A smirk tugged at his lips, revealing sharp canines. He grunted as I crashed into him, and for several seconds we were locked, and then he pushed and we moved through the room. My back slammed into the wall, and I arched with the pain, my chest brushing his, as he pinned me once again, his hand closing around both my wrists, his grip bruising. It was a second or an eon. You fucking idiots!
Trademarked.
It was a second or an eon that we gazed into each other's eyes, chest heaving and the remnant of our struggle still focusing to our aid. He ran a finger down the side of my face, tugging on my veil. I moved on instinct, my knee racing, aiming for a hit that would send him crashing to his knees. He surged forward, his hips connecting with mine and making me unable to do anything but struggle against him. Flames flared where our bodies met, the friction sparking something far more dangerous than combat. His breath was ragged, mirroring mine. The space they shared, frighteningly small. He grinned before tugging the fabric from my face, letting it cool around my throat as he finally took in my delicate features for the first time. He let out a breath, then his eyes widened as he gazed upon me, dancing from my eyes to my lips and back up again. I rolled my eyes, pressed the blade just a little deeper, just enough to make him swallow audibly.
I didn't hear the swallow.
You talk too much.
His smirk widened.
And you hesitate too long.
Before I could react, he moved. 1 second I was on top and control. The next, my back hit something soft, the bed. I barely had time to register the shift before he was on me. His weight pressed me down, his hands catching mine and slamming them above my head. A sharp click echoed in the dimly lit room. I still, cool metal encased my wrists. I turned my head, twisting against his hold, and my eyes landed on the iron cuffs now locked me to the headboard. The realization hit, and when I turned back at him, amusement curled through my voice.
Were you expecting me?
His grin was wicked, eyes dark with something unreadable. He leaned down, his breath brushing against my cheek as he murmured.
Come on, Harold, murmur!
No,
You can do it!
I just know my Arkin. It's No, I just know my Arkin and the tools he keeps nearby.
A sharp laugh escaped me, and he reached for something beside the bed. Fabric slipped between his fingers, black as night, and I barely had time to curse before the blindfold slid over my eyes. The world went dark!
This is hot as shit!
The world went dark! My breath caught my senses sharpening, every sound, every shift of his body amplified. The rustle of fabric, the slow, deliberate drag of his fingers along my skin.
Harold?
Now! His voice was a little more than a whisper. Close enough that I could feel the heat of him.
I hope you didn't have any other plans tonight. Because you won't be leaving until I have some answers. And I have all night to take them from you.
Against the cuffs holding me in place, a low chuckle.
You must be eager.
He murmured, stepping into view, the blade glinting in his grasp.
Or just impatient. Either way, I... You sick freaks! Either way, I plan to enjoy this.
I thought you were here to interrogate
And to that he smirked.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
He'd expect fear, resistance, not this. I licked my lips. Something changed in his stance, a subtle shift, but I noticed everything. The way his grip tightened slightly, the way his breath hitched just a fraction. Oh, this just became fun.
You might make me think you like this.
Lady Anna! A sharp knock on the door pulled us both from the moment. And he turned towards it, frustration marring his features.
Yes!
His tone was short and clipped. A male voice came from the other side of the door.
Are you all right, Harold?
I have it under control, Savon.
His gaze returned to me.
I have everything I need right here.
His tone darkened on the last part, sending shivers down my spine.
Good.
Footsteps followed the man clearly retreating from whatever the situation was. I knew that name, not only a guard, but the captain of the Thorn Guard. What luck I had! Harold smiled at me, a smile full of promises. He stepped closer once again. I moved quickly, a flick of my wrist, a shift of my weight. He was expecting another fight. He wasn't expecting me to twist towards him. His knife grazed my ribs as I surged forward, my lips barely brushing the shell of his ears as my fingers found what I was looking for. The small piece of metal hiding in my cuff.
I didn't know. I was being interrogated by the captain of the guard. What an honor!
I whispered teasingly, keeping him distracted as I worked the shackles. His lips parted to answer, but the words never came and his eyes darted upward. I'd finished just as he realized what had happened, just as his free hand grabbed my waist, fingers tightening. But it was too late! A sharp clink! The cuffs fell away! I moved fast, twisting, using his grip against him just like before. In a breath, he was against the cold stone, and I was the one pinning him now. My body flush against his.
Goddamn!
My breath warm against his jaw. Another click as the shackle closed around his wrist. And I peered up at him. His eyes burned into mine. Unreadable but intense. I leaned in close enough that he could feel my lips curve into a smirk against his skin.
You really should have searched me better.
But his jaw clenched, but I saw it. I saw everything. I tossed my hair over my shoulder as my hand moved low. Fingers running along the edge of his belt, tugging slightly. Then, just as he sucked in a sharp breath, I stepped away. His hands twitched above him like he was debating grabbing for me, but he didn't. Instead, his gaze flicked to my hand, to the key now dangling between my fingers. His expression changed. The barest flicker of concern sun beneath the cool facade. I reached the door, still holding his gaze, and before he could move, I slid the key into the lock. His lips parted slightly.
What are you?
I turned the key. A loud, satisfying click echoed through the room. Locked. I leaned against the heavy wood, tilting my head as I met his gaze. Then, slowly, I smiled teasingly.
Wouldn't want any more interruptions now, would we?
His eyes darkened. Oh, I had him now.
I am shirtless, and you are not.
We haven't gotten to the part yet. Not like that. I finally reached him, my fingers closing around his chin as I pulled his head towards mine, pressing my lips to his jaw and moving down his neck. My teeth grazing over the sensitive spots where his neck met his shoulder. I heard the shackles rattle. And a sharp intake of breath as I worked my way down his chest. The sound of fabric tearing cut through the room as the knife parted his shirt, allowing me to continue down. My hands gripped his belt, the only thing keeping his kilt in place and my mouth from its target. I gazed up at him, though my lashes pouted slightly as I tilted my head.
You seem to have so many layers in the face.
Swallow those fish, Harold! Swallow those fish, Harold!
Get it, Joker! Either you do something or unlock me so I can show you how it starts.
He growled back and I couldn't stop the grin that took over my face as I swiftly undid his belt, letting the remainder of his clothing fall to the floor. No! So that he was naked in front of me, I drank in the sight of him. Every line of his body accentuated through the flickering torchlight. He hissed softly at the cool air. Hiss! Hiss! Lips parting once more, surely for some other remark, but I didn't give him the chance as I took him into my mouth. His moans echoed off the walls. I dug my nails into his hips. No! Stilling him as I took him in slowly, inch by inch. I could feel the heat cooling low in my body. The sounds he made, the way he moved beneath me, and the need was building. I knew it wouldn't be long until I had to unlock him, so that he could take me in the way I ached for him to do. The rattling of the door broke through the haze. I had barely registered it when a sharp knock followed, and that male voice from earlier, Savon, dryly asked through the door,
Harold, are you okay?
wall's bright eyes had turned a dark, stormy blue. As he gazed down upon me and I cocked an eyebrow, teasing me, the question evident in my gaze, are you in distress?
I'll leave you to your business.
True hero! With the click of the lock, I found myself against the wall, his body hot and heady against mine. I almost whimpered at the feel of him pressed against me. I was aching for him, and all I wanted was for him to rid me of my clothing.
I was shirtless, but the rest was still there.
Patience, he murmured, teeth sliding over my neck, and I fell against the wall as my knees gave out. At the pleasure ringing through my body, his hand gripped at my hips as his mouth moved down. All I could feel was his mouth on my breasts, the flicking of his tongue and the sharpness of his teeth as I lost myself.
Damn, Harold! Yes, Harold!
Cool air on my bare thighs. My words were cut off as his hand found my backside, and suddenly I was hoisted into his arms, my back pressed against the wall. I wrapped my legs around his waist as he guided us together, and I whimpered with the luxuriously tight fit. I reached above, my fingers scrambling over the stone wall for purchase before grabbing onto the shackles, no longer caught by them, but willingly holding on as pleasure raked through my body.
Are you alright?
He asked, his voice low and strained. He sounded as if he was holding himself in check, as if it took all of his will to do so.
That would have been better.
I purred, looking up at him through my lashes, my gaze heavy with want. He grinned. He pressed one hand against the wall next to my head, the other gripping my bare thigh, and then he moved, hips rolling, and I lost the ability to form words. It was pure primal pleasure that guided us. My moans echoed off the walls and his groans answering. I arched against the wall against him, my head tilting back and my body offered up like a prayer. Desperate with need. His hands roamed with purpose, fingers tracing fire along my waist, my hips anchoring me to the moment. The heat between us pulsed, tangible, like the charge before a storm. Every breath was a standoff between the restraint and surrender.
Show that!
No! He murmured that his wants and desires like a secret he was desperate to keep, and equally desperate to shout. The world outside seemed to fall away. There was only this, his mouth and my throat, my legs tightening around him, our bodies caught in a rhythm older than words. I felt every heartbeat, every shiver, every whispered gasp. We were wildfire, contained only by the walls around it, and even they seemed to tremble with the force of what we've become. A wave of pleasure rolled through my body, and it was almost too much to bear. And suddenly, it was like a fire exploding through me. I dug my nails into his back, hard enough to draw blood as I cried. Stars dancing across my vision. I clung to him as I gasped for breath, riding out the last waves of my pleasure before my head fell back against the wall. My eyes shut. It's not taking too long!
Good performance, guys. Have Give it to her, Harold.
Harold, you know how to give it.
Hope you're not spent yet.
You whispered against my ear.
I made a promise that I intend to keep. And I am far from finished.
His words sent another surge of heat through me. Fierce and unbearable. I barely had time to catch my breath before he swept me from the wall, guiding us down together, our bodies never parting. We sank to the floor, tangled in each other, the cool surface beneath us, a stark contrast to the fire, burning between our bodies. He pressed the kiss to my throat, his tone teasing us as he asked.
Do you need another second to catch your
I let out a breathless laugh, sharp and wicked.
Sweet of you two.
I murmured, tightening my thighs around his waist.
But I think it's your turn to guess.
Before he could reply, I shifted my weight and flipped us in one fluid, unrelenting motion. His eyes widening as his back met the thick folds of this great kilt, still spread across the floor beneath us. The thud was solid, satisfying. I straddled him with purpose, my palms pressed to his chest, deep in there.
Ride a Stygian stallion!
He looked up at me with that familiar, dangerous glint in his eyes as I leaned down, my lips brushing his ear.
Let's see how many promises you can keep.
A growl of approval rumbled from his throat, and then we were moving again, that fierce rhythm reigniting. I rolled my hips, pressing down on him in one move. He met every movement with his own, each thrust answering mine. My nails stuck into his chest, his hands gripping my hips like he could hold back the wave building inside his mouth. I reached behind him, my hand fisting in his hair, tugging harshly. The sound of our breath, ragged and broken, filled the space between us, louder than words, more honest than anything we could save. As pleasure built once more, cresting like a wave on the shore. Together we tumbled over the edge. My back arched, vision flashing white as the release ripped through me, fierce and unrelenting. Beneath me, he bucked. His voice a low guttural sound torn from deep in his throat, and as he followed, his grip tightening, his body drawn taut with the force of it.
I didn't know I could do that.
You'll have to teach us.
I hope you are here to protect him again the next time I come by.
His answering laugh was the only response. As the door clicked shut between me, leaving the silence and the storm we just unleashed, lingering in the air. We are thankful for you to make all the travel over to this field, which we know is far away, but we hope it has been worth it.
Beautiful. Good sight.
Will there be another novel in the future?
So yeah, as you could probably tell, everybody there passed the vibe check. The atmosphere was so fun, and just generally the entire listening to the reading and seeing people's reactions to it, seeing also the authors' reactions, it was perfect. That was such a perfect way to not quite end the evening yet, but to start the ending of the evening. And after the smut reading was over, I was on my way to my friends in the West because they had actually intended to be there for the smut reading as well, and I just wanted to, find out why they weren't there for this glorious event. So as I was on my way to them, I actually ran into friends of theirs who in turn told me, hey, they were on their way to your camp just now, you probably just missed them. So I went back yet again to find them there, and also to find out that they didn't know that the smut reading had been happening earlier, because they were told to come at a later time, which was the original time, but things had kind of shifted in the time plan because something had happened that I wasn't there to witness, and I will never forgive myself for that. Because, if I remember correctly, it was the wedding of King Garvin, the Great and Terrible, and his gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful wife, whom I did not see even once during the entire event. Only afterwards on photos I saw her and I was like, who is she? Why did I not see her? And why is my battery dying again? My friends and I were hanging around at the Realm of Roses for a bit longer because there was yet another amazing fire show. And after that, there was a really grand ritual that we definitely wanted to see. And basically everybody who wanted to come was invited to go to the Dragon Bones, because that is where they, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I have gathered, the Dragonhunters wanted to essentially calm down the soul of the dragon that had been killed there because it was boundless, and they wanted to, make it not so anymore.
We want to show him this dragon that's boundless, calling and drawing in the energy around him. We want to show him the fire and the passion, and then take him into the community and be calm again at the end. That's what we want to do. Start with the passion. Show him your passion and your fire. Dance. Be loud. Make it less. Shut down some lights, but not all of them right now. We got him here. Now we need to calm him down all together. The second part. Der Drache ruft uns. Ihm soll die Gier verlassen. Find zum maßvoll. Kein Schaden soll erfassen. Er soll sie denken an vergangene Zeiten. Wach! Ruhen! Wach! Ruhen! Wach! Ruhen! Wach! Ruhen! Wach! Ruhen! Wach! Ruhen!
Merkt euch, für einen Erfolg muss ein Preis bezahlt werden.
Hör auf! Nein! Hör auf! Nein! Wenn ich das nicht will, du hörst auf! Jetzt hörst du auf! Tut niemand mehr weh!
Das sollten auch gehen. Meint ihr nicht?
Nein, Ninska geht's gut, die ist ja gesund. Aber
tatsächlich gerade schon.
Nein, Ninska geht's gut. Die ist, hat sich dazu gesprochen. Ich glaube, wir haben doch Werwölfe bei uns.
Ja, dann wird es recht Zeit zu gehen.
Die andere.
Es warten schöne Tavernen in der Stadt. Nach der ganzen Aufregung, ich könnte einen Drink vertragen oder zwei.
Na gut, los geht's.
Dann folgen wir einfach dem Pfifferling.
So, auf geht's.
So we joined everybody who was leaving and also kind of left them to mourn. And then we accidentally ran into the other half of this group of people from the West. And they told us some interesting thing that had happened because they were not at the ritual, they were doing something else in the meantime. And apparently, because of some OT misunderstanding, there was almost an IT, not war, but definitely potential really big battle that could have happened between two settler groups, between the Blood Pact and the West. But fortunately that was avoided, but it was very interesting to hear that that could have almost happened. So yeah, people can have beef in the time and situation because of time-out misunderstandings. That was interesting to learn.
Wir kommen raus, weil uns die Luft ausgegangen ist. Aski wird zur Seite genommen und war so, habt ihr die Trophäe? Also ihr seid der Westen. Wir so, ja, wir sind der Westen. Habt ihr die Trophäe? Nee. Okay, dann könnt ihr jetzt weitergehen, ansonsten hätten wir euch getötet.
Nämlich, und das ist richtig heftig, der Blutpakt ist seit 3 Tagen dabei, diese scheiß Trophäe da rauszuholen. Die reden aber von der Trophäe, nicht von einem Hammer. Das ist das andere Ding. Also, bei uns im Lager sind die Schwarzmäntel, die suchen auch diesen Hammer. Und es kann sein, dass die den haben. Die sind mit dem ganzen Blutpakt, der ganze Blutpakt stand auch noch vor und noch ein riesiger Kampftrupp war in dem Lager und hat den scheiß Westen gejagt. Und er meinte nämlich auch zu uns, dass mit manchen Krähenmeistern falsche Absprachen vielleicht getroffen wurden und dass alles nicht so gelaufen ist, wie es ist und dass wir uns vielleicht darauf einstellen können, dass wenn der Westen die Trophäe hat und die behält,
dass wir uns gegen den Blutpakt
dass der Blutpakt bei uns morgen einmarschiert und uns kalt macht.
Na gut, wie gut, dass wir uns alle schon um 9 bereit machen zu abmarschieren, damit wir die Klinge von Ignis Kalga geben können.
Aber hätten wir diesen Pilzwald gesagt, ey, jo, wir sind der Westen, wir wären instant abgemurkst worden da drin.
So auf die Fresse bekommen, weil wir hatten einen Trupp von uns vor, wie viele waren das? 30 Leute?
Mindestens, ja. Und wir waren 8.
Vor allem, ich sag noch, ja, sterbt da drinnen nicht.
Ja, das ist so close.
Ganz ehrlich, ich hätte dann an deiner Stelle Lunge 5. Lunge 5.
Ich trete dich durch den Mais.
Deine Niere kannst du vergessen.
Und wir haben ja einmal diesen komischen, wie hieß er?
Wendigo, ja.
Wendigo.
Was?
Nicht direkt. Wir haben das Vieh einmal kurz gesehen.
Aus der Ferne.
Genau, es kam rein, sah uns, pupp, wieder weg.
They also told us that apparently the Blood Pact had made an attempt to hunt the Wendigo that night, but I have no idea what came of it or if they were successful, so yeah. But it was time to go back to the camp and try to get some sleep. And again, the nighttime ambience, bro.
Das wäre die Feuershow, oder gehofft?
There was the green and the green one and the green one and the green one. They're all made at the chicken and they all. Okay, we have
We have some drunk people and alcohol.
And now it is time for Saturday, day 6, the last time and day. Our Saturday morning started with some casual attacks on the player camps, initiated by the Forsaken, of course, and simultaneously yet another battle began on the battlefield. So I made my way to the battlefield because, as I had mentioned before, I agreed with my friends from the West that the next day we would go onto the battlefield together. And as I was waiting for them, I actually ran into a healer who's also a friend of them, who explained to me a little bit about the situation on the battlefield and told me some stuff that I just didn't know because no one told me.
A little bit of information.
Yes.
If you go past where that gentleman is, put a mask on your face.
Okay.
Because that's where the spores are.
Still?
Yes. Spores will be there for the rest. So we're wearing it just to try and remember everyone to wear them. Because 95% of these people don't wear them.
Yeah.
And then they come to us for healing, and we've got to really cleanse the wounds.
It takes forever, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then my friends finally arrived after there had been some more calls for paramedics and some people having to be driven to the paramedics and from the paramedics back to the battlefield because they just didn't want to stop fighting even though they hurt themselves. And we went onto the battlefield together, and here's how that went.
Pünktlich? So schätze ich das mal. Audun, ich bleib weiter hinten. Hier? Ja, ja. Oh, ihr seid hier so. Entschuldigung. Alles gut. Größte Gefahr für mich bist du hier. Nehmen dich in Acht, Vorgänger. Du weißt nicht, was sie tut. Ansonsten Kurzstreckensprinten funktioniert, aber bis da hinten. Das ist ja böse. Sie hat alle ihre Pfeile verloren. Und vielleicht ihr Leben. Oh Gott.
So I was on the battlefield for a bit longer than before, but the problem is that it gets really hot out there. Especially, of course, in the midday sun. It gets unbearable really quickly, especially if you don't do well in hot weather, like yours truly. And also I wanted to see the card collection that was happening of the man that I got one of the very important cards signed for, so I asked Serenia if she wanted to come and check that out with me, and so we did that for a while. And then Serenia went back to our camp for a bit, and I made my way back to the battlefield and stopped at the waterfalls again. And then I witnessed an army of children getting ready for their battle against the Forsaken, because that's also a thing that happens every year. Some people lovingly call it the Battle of Giants, which is of course very fitting. And that was just so sweet to watch because people were hyping them up so much. And you could just tell the kids were loving that. And so I was watching that for a while from the side of the battlefield. and eventually ran into some of the people from the west again.
Ah, guck mal, das kenne ich doch. Hallo.
Hallo.
Hey. Die verkloppen auch gerade den schwarzen Prinzen.
Nein, wirklich?
Ja.
Nein, wir gehen gleich als erstes rein. Also
seit wann sind schwarze in
Schon vor einigen Tagen. Es hat zum Beispiel auch beim Münzquell eine gegeben, die aus dem Boden gewachsen ist. Im Pilzwald hat es einige gegeben und auch hier in der Knochenweite. Die schwarze Dynastie versucht überall ihr Kristallnetzwerk zu etablieren. Und wenn wir es zurückschlagen können, müssen wir das tun.
Aber sie sind jetzt neu gekommen.
So habe ich es gehört, ja. Aber wir wissen auch aufgrund der Informationen, die schon am ersten Tag gefunden worden sind, dass das schwarze Eis schon seit dem Öffnen des Tores angefangen hat, sich vorzubereiten und durchzuführen.
The rest of my friends from the west arrived, and they actually were there because they were waiting for some kind of yet another ritual to find out who would be worthy of a blade of Ignis with which they were supposed to kill a golem. I have no clue.
Yeah, this is Fortingas, right?
What?
Is this Fortingas?
The-
Fortingas.
the undead
The
flesh.
second king of the undead.
Someone said he has like huge.
Probably, considering they just bowed to him.
Yep.
Yeah, and the feathers. I don't know. I don't remember who said that, but someone said the feathers.
What I know is that the sword of Ignis, there is also a challenger which already has a pact with the undead flesh. So that might be a coincidence that he is here. In about 30 minutes, Kalga from the house Sarah is going to be hopefully the chosen one for wearing or wielding the sword of Ignis. And then he's able to kill one of the golems or monsters.
Kalga.
No, not Kalga. I'm gonna point on him.
Yeah.
I think it's a sword.
Yeah, but he's...
Or it's a flame sword,
I
something
think
like that. but
it has
it's-
something to do with he had to do something for the elements.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why or how, but he tried it several times and he never got chosen. And this time we hope that he gets chosen so that he can play a special monster. And we just hope he doesn't die, because if he drinks the poison, then he's
something-
probably going to die.
It's something you drink, and it's the sword is going to choose you. And if you're not worthy, you're going to be dead. Ich glaube, ich nicht so viele Sitzplätze, wo wir uns hinter den Schatten stellen.
Neu ernannt gerade. Gestern erst. Nee, vorgestern, glaube ich.
It doesn't need to be private, but I do not want to disturb like the ceremony, because I feel like it would otherwise stand in confusion with the neutrality that we have.
I'll get you some water as well.
Are we in the way?
Shall I sit down? Please, please, please stand there. Or sit there. Sit. Shall I stand or sit?
You can sit if you want.
Have we been impolite by sitting down here?
No.
The corrector will give you some hints how to behave and what to do. Das denn? Spannend. Spannend.
Emotionen und so.
Schmerz ist übrigens auch eine gute Emotion.
Singt nicht, ich ertrage es nicht, ich ertrage euren Gesang nicht.
And then everything got kind of chaotic once again because the outpost was suddenly filling up with people because everyone was, yet again, getting ready for another battle. And this is something that I hadn't noticed as an NPC, even though I did see how often the NPCs were leaving the camp to go fight. Just as I was being a player, I noticed how many battles were happening constantly. Which makes sense, of course. A lot of people do want these battles, but damn, it was a lot. So as people were gathering and getting ready for battle, I and the rest of the people from the west that, were in the atelier before also got ready, and then we went in.
Nein, komm, alles gut. Gibt es eine Strategie, weil die Leute hinter uns jetzt in der nächsten Reihe, gibt es irgendwie quasi Lager für Lager, die zusammen vorgehen, oder?
Ja, also meistens, auch miteinander. Zum Beispiel, wer es ist, klappt das dann gar nicht. Aber da habe ich mich zum ersten Mal richtig erschrocken. Ich finde, das klingt auch so krass. Ja. Nein, ich kann nur so eine ganz kleine Kreativ.
And at some point there was someone who was wounded who, Fiera, who can do some very basic healing, actually attempted to help, and I also did my part by using my superpower of standing in front of the person to block the sun, which was of course extremely important. But then we had to get up really quickly because, well, it is a battlefield, so things happen and change and move very quickly. And suddenly we were about to be run over by a group of the undead flesh. And that was not really on our to-do list of things to experience in life, so we ran.
Die Orks kommen, sie werden uns retten. Geil. Ich finde das, ich hätte da so dermaßen überhaupt keine Lust drauf, aber das ist cool. Die haben wir ganz nah hinter uns, ne? Wir sollten ein bisschen schneller raus. Oh, die Orks, wie toll.
Ja, wir sehen hier schön aus. Blümchen pflücken noch mit im Dingens? Warum sind die Pilzleute hier? Ich glaube, die Inquisition ist auch auf dem Feld. Die Pilzleute und die Inquisition. Waren die vorher auch dabei?
Jetzt sind alle da.
Ja, ich merke schon.
Ich weiß nicht, die Inquisition waren auch schon geteilt.
Ach so.
Auf jeden Fall Vorposten ziemlich schnell.
Oh, cool.
Reinigendes Feuer. Also wer das drauf hat, dann ist das sehr wohl näher. Warte, ich habe sehr geholfen. Askier.
What's up? Do we have to sign a contract for this? So we'll live.
Yeah, what is up? What hurts?
So please leave me up.
So after that we were obviously very exhausted, and my friends from the west went back to their camp and I went back to mine. And then after a little break it was already starting to get darker outside, and I went to my friends in the west and spent the last evening with them, which was really fun because we got one last private performance from the actor who had done the play with the or against the undead. And also one of the people from that group was announcing that play and this actor, and it was just perfect.
Alles hier wieder hingespuckt. See the real.
Weithin bekannt.
Nee, wir haben einfach gar nicht.
Schickt eure Frauen nach Hause. Der Pfifferling ist in der Stadt.
Wir sind nicht freiwillig gemeldet.
Ich glaube, es ist dazu verdammt worden.
Dafür hat er Spaß dran gehabt.
Das kommt mit dem Buch hoffentlich. See the real Pfifferling. Ach so, das ist die.
Schön, oh, danke.
Ja.
Ich muss aber kriegen. Edle Herren. Kein Benehmen. Wo kommt ihr her? Welche
Vor allem
seid
Aske
ihr?
so richtig so, oh krass, hier liegt sogar
Angenehmer der rote Teppich, wie schön.
Man könnte sich auch noch Richtung Feuerschale begeben.
Ja, hier.
Ich glaube, ich ist gut gemacht.
Ja, nee,
Hat keiner gemerkt, dass du da jetzt Hundescheiße reingeschmiert hast. Alles gut.
Oh, I love the money. Oh, and I love people under me.
Yes.
Would you like some wine?
They even ruled us kings.
Me lord. Yes. Bow down to me. I am the ruler of you all. Oh, me lord, we are not worthy of your presence. Not worthy. Oh, how I love to rule about you. Give it to me.
They tried all kinds of potions. What? Try this one?
Good, but also not very easy. Good for easy.
Just a potion to the teller, please.
A potion for the teller.
There you go.
What our dear Talon, our dear storyteller, is too humble to state, not only did it boil their blood, Saint Victoria put on wanted posters for this man and this actor. They have pyres with their names on it because they could not handle a little play. Thank you.
Art that bites is good art.
Exactly. You have lots of hate fans.
And so after that one last wonderful evening, I went back to my camp and went to sleep to the drums of the Blood Pact. And that was it. That was my experience of the Conquest of Mythodea 2025, which does not mean that this video is over, but for tonight it is. I do not have the brain capacity to film anymore, even though I thought I would, but it is now, in 10 minutes, it's gonna be 5 a.m. Thank you for having been on this journey with me through this very exhausting night. I'm hopefully gonna film the rest of this tomorrow during daytime so that we do not have this kind of fiasco that you had to endure now. I hope I can use this material. I hope I haven't been whining too much. Editing this is going to be a nightmare. Because I had to start every other sentence over and over again because my brain cannot function right now anymore. So yeah, wish me luck for tomorrow's recording, because that's when the next part is gonna happen, where I talk about really whatever I feel like. Kind of my character specifically, or the kind of ideas that I have for the future that I want to, how I want to dive deeper into my character's lore and everything. Or kind of my wishes still for the next year and stuff like that, It's just... I've just gotta stop talking now because I can't... I need sleep. I need sleep. Hi. I have no recollection of what happened here last night. And I'm not even saying this as a joke, unfortunately, and I'm slightly concerned about that, but, I do remember sitting here with my script in front of me, but I don't recall anything that I said. It was bad, you guys. But yeah, I'm just gonna yap about my character and how exactly did I get to play my character and what kind of plans do I have for the future. So, let's start. So, as you could probably guess from the thumbnail, and maybe if I mentioned it before in this video, I played a druidic kind of character. And I've been wanting to do that for years, and now that I have this character, I am definitely going to continue playing her. I really, really like the concept. I'm really not good at creating a character for a specific type of lore that I don't really know everything about, because then I'm too afraid that I'm gonna make mistakes and make accidental lore problems for myself because I didn't study the lore enough. And so I wanted to have kind of my own lore that I could experiment with and, where I could change the rules however I felt like changing them. And basically be the master of my own world, really. So I created this kind of lore in which it's a relatively small realm that these druids of mine live in, and they have a specific set of rules, I suppose you could say. One of the most important ones is that they do not fight. They absolutely do not fight. They don't have weapons that they could even use to fight someone with, and that they just refuse to fight. Because in their eyes, if you take another life, you're not worthy of yours. And this specifically worked pretty well for me because I, myself, as my real self, also just don't want to fight in LARP situations. It's not for me. I've had my experience with a battlefield and that was enough. But I am very much interested in becoming a healer, which of course also just fits the character very well visually. A lot of people were assuming actually that my character must be a healer too, and tried coming towards me and being like, are you a healer? And I had to be like, sorry, I don't know what the fuck I would be doing. Because I also at that point had not come up with a specific way of how I would want to heal people. So for this conquest I was pretty much just observing everything around me. And that was enough, honestly. I had to go around quite a bit too to kind of capture all kinds of footage that I wanted to have. And so for this year it was really all I needed. But for next year I definitely do want to try getting involved with the actual gameplay a bit more. And I want to risk some things with my character, because in case you didn't know, for this LARP you have the so-called victim rule, which means that if someone is threatening to end your character's life, at the end it's always your choice whether or not your character actually dies. And I really like that because it allows you to actually test your limits and allow some dramatic stuff to happen without actually having to worry that you lose your character forever. And so next year I am going to prepare to become a healer and go onto the battlefield and risk getting in trouble a little bit. And I feel like it's gonna get this extra spice because my character doesn't fight. So I'm either gonna have to find someone who's willing to be my sort of guardian on the battlefield and make sure that I don't get my ass whooped. Or alternatively, I just risk it and go onto the battlefield without having any sort of protection and just see what happens. Just see if I do get attacked, and if I do get attacked, I hope that some player sees it and tries to help me in that moment, or maybe I do get hurt severely. I want the spice, I want the drama. Also, generally, I didn't see that many druidic characters, or at least none where it was very clear to me visually. I did see some, but not as many as I had expected. But fortunately, I seem to have infected some of my friends from the West with this whole druidic thing going on. So who knows, maybe in a few years I have an entire clan of druids under my wing. Honestly, I would really like that. I just have this image in my mind of this group of people all in green. I mean, of course there would be variety in the clothes, but the main color should be green. Yeah, it might be a problem that I have very specific details in my mind. Not everybody might like that. And also you would have to just never fight. Or if you do fight, you're gonna lose your druid status within our clan or coven or whatever you want to call it. And you would have to get kicked out. Oh, the lore thickens. Anyway, I just have this image in my mind of these groups of druids that are just completely peaceful and harmonic, and they just do not harm other life. And that includes the undead as well, or generally the Forsaken. So the druids, I imagine them as people who do not fight, who only shield themselves, right? I see these like shields of tree bark, that like just big ass shields that they would shield themselves with, and maybe other druids as well. And just a shield wall or shield circle, like a tree, around other druids in the middle who do not shield themselves. Because in my mind there's different groups of druids who have different tasks within my realm. And some of them are protective with shields and stuff, not because they have enemies in their realm that they need to protect themselves from, but because of the forces of nature. And so the druids, in my mind, in my lore, I guess, would be very just good at shielding themselves, you know? They would be extremely... If they had game character stats, all their points would go to defense. And also, of course, there would be a lot of just druidic rituals, a lot of harmonious humming maybe, and singing, and just nothing aggressive, but just very one with nature, you know? But when it comes to that, you would really have to practice these kind of things, you know, grand rituals or the whole singing or humming together parts. Because I have a feeling that if you don't practice that and it would be open for everybody to join, I just have a feeling I know how that would go.
Now, my dear brothers and sisters, let us all sing together as one. Remember, do not sing as individuals. Only if we sing together as one strong voice, we are loud enough for the gods to hear us. Let us begin.
There's too many people here.
Please, my dear friends, we must remember to sing as one strong voice. Only then the gods...
You all suck. What was that? Oh dear gods, we're so devoted. What in the world?
Yeah. No, I feel like you would really need a specific group of people who practices these things really well and just know what they're doing, unless you want to have an immediate, very hardcore aura loss, as the young kids nowadays would probably say. So yeah, maybe there could be some kind of rituals where things are more open, where it's not about being harmonious, where it's more about making strong noises or something like that, and it doesn't matter that people hum in harmony. Or maybe these things could go together. I'm not sure, but there's so much potential there. And also, because I love to just overdo it immediately, I also have these images in my mind of a group of druids on the battlefield, and then some kind of construction of roots that grows around them, that maybe moves with them to some extent, that protects them and shields them. I don't know, there's so much potential here. And I think that I'm going to have a few chances to actually kind of bring that to life a bit in the next years, because we know some people who are also very interested in kind of redoing or rebranding, I guess, their own druidism. And so I'm really excited to see where that could potentially take us, because they seemed very open to our ideas and you know, what kind of plot we might have in mind and everything. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, like I said, I just generally think that this whole idea of them only shielding themselves and each other instead of actually actively fighting would lead to so much interesting gameplay, you know? Because the fact that they would refuse to hurt anybody, because that just goes against everything they believe in. And then also, if they do ever go to the battlefield, I just like this thought of these druids, who should be very clearly noticeable as from one and the same group, would just go up and help a settler who has fallen down, but would also just the same help one of the undead up from the ground and make no distinction whatsoever. I feel like that just has, I don't know, I just really like the idea, and I think it has a lot of potential. Of course, it could also be misused, but that is, again, just more plot, because you would have to come up with new ways of solving that, right? You would have to interact with other players and kind of figure out, okay, do we ask other players to help us with that? Do I, for instance, go up to someone who I know I can pay to be my guard, but does that conflict with my values because this person could potentially attack someone because they have different values than me? They would use their sword against someone. Would that also mean that by proxy I also have hurt someone? You know, it just leaves so much potential for conflict and for interesting storytelling, and so I'm just really excited to see where this could be going. And yeah, ideas are constantly flowing and being written down, so we're gonna have to wait and see. So enough of that before I give away too much of my own character's lore. I'm gonna keep the rest a secret and not bore you with the details. But I think that's it for this specific section. And also, during the video yesterday, I forgot to show you guys one of the coins, because there's new coins in Sarkhan that you can collect. And I forgot to show you because I wasn't mentally really there yesterday. I do know that. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. It's, there you go. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's a ship, essentially. I'm gonna have to zoom in a bit and hold my arm still. But yeah, you can get these new copper coins. I don't know if they also have silver ones and golden ones, but this is all I've seen so far. And yeah, there are new coins in the game, so if you're like me, a coin collector, this one specifically wasn't mine, I didn't earn this. This was actually from Valeria, who gave me this so I could show it off in the video. So eventually I'm gonna give that back to her. But I do have every intention to next year gather some of these coins. I don't know how exactly you get them. I think if you befriend the people of Sarkhan, some of them give them to you or pay you with them. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, because I do want to befriend the people of Sarkhan, and specifically the Vibalians, especially because I feel like if I actually do play my character some more, it just makes sense, you know, my character being a druid and, you know, plants, nature and stuff. Again, so eloquent. But yeah, that was it for this little section that was all about me, really. And I think that now means that the next part that is coming is the last part of this video, the outro / outtakes part, I'm guessing. So yeah, have fun with that, I guess. And I'm not gonna give you guys a proper goodbye or anything, because I know that one of my friends is gonna be sad. So let's just pretend that this video is just gonna continue for 5 more hours. Anyway, have fun with the outtakes. I am now probably going to vomit. Oh, I'm so nervous about filming this. Settle down with me for this little adventure. This little... So this year, I... Feel free to my voice is giving up on me. This year, for the first time since I've gone to the... Now, if some of you guys have seen... Now... So I was there, I got to meet them. Whoa. Now, if some of you guys have seen my... Now, if some of you guys... Bruder. That was sweet. We went back to our... After that, as we went back to our camp... how did I start the sentence? The footage that is gonna follow now is gonna be mostly... And everybody else has to follow the same rules. And everybody else has to follow... We had arrived at the battlefield. My ears are starting to hurt from the jewelry. She had made it her personal mission and her personal quest to gather as much information as she... Oh my god! And then... Transition! He actually talked to them. As far as I know, he actually meant... And as far as I know, he also... And as far as I know, he meant it. Move, bitch! I'm trying to stretch. Fuck. Mom! No, this was a fantastic idea. Woo! So... we actually went... Because while we had found out some things about the Dragonhunters... No, that's not true. But for Serenia and for her character, it didn't make sense. Because she... Anyway, after that little knowledge... neither us nor them knew where the camp of the neither us nor this friend group of ours knew where the camp of the... Okay, I need to be... I trust myself with this candle less and less because I feel like if I keep this here any longer, I'm gonna set myself on fire. What was I saying? Does it matter? Does anyone care? Is anyone even listening? I have a headache too. Ow! Everything hurts! No, this is cozy. This is fine. Okay, valid crash out. Now, so we spoke to the... So we spoke to the Vibalians. Oh, the Vibalians! God, I love their names so much. Anyway, people were talking to the Tuvrani and... Anyway, people started talking to... Anyway, people were starting to talk to the Tuvrani. Who was beefing with who and for what reason at this part? One of the and who was just suffering and just... Bro, I can't talk anymore. Gibt's denn einen Day 6? Shit. Nein, es gibt auch noch einen Day 6. Oh nö, ich kann nicht mehr. Half of the video is just me whining. And then something really cool happened. What the fuck? Okay. I cannot form a singular normal sentence. This was not a good idea. Holy shit. And I'm starting to hear cars outside of people driving to work. Whew. By the way, just to match last year's aesthetic, I'm wearing sweatpants. Because in last year's video, I just very casually at one point got up and I was wearing this like kind of immersive top and then got up and was wearing these very immersive white sweatpants. And I didn't make a single comment about it or a single joke about it, which I thought I had done because that would have been the less awkward thing to do. So yeah, I'm wearing sweatpants that say Rebel Core, so you know what's up. The gods most prominently worshipped within Dragonhunter society are Kas, the hottest of the Gunt, yeah. Back to the video. Wow. Yeah, that sucked ass. Woo. I sent my hair flying. I would smile, but I can't. No, actually, right now I can. Yeah, that doesn't hurt. One of us. Ow. There's some on our lands and we want them to be gone. That's the reason why we have to go to war. No, that was wrong. What do we do now? Oh my god, I'm done. What do I do with my life now? Oh no, was the camera not... Did the camera not focus? Please tell me it was only the ending of the video. Ah, please. I can't do this anymore. More whining. You needed more of that, didn't you? More complaining and more annoyance.
Yes? I have a feeling that I know you from somewhere. Do you by chance have a YouTube channel or something?
I do, yeah.
You do ASMR?
Yeah.
No?
Oh, really? That's where you know me from? I have two, actually. But yeah, I do.
I might have seen you. Oh, so cool.
Kann ich auch. Bei mir gehört es natürlich zum Kleid. Das ist alles nur das Kleid. Das ist alles gar nicht Seide.
Da fangen wir wieder an.
Ich habe noch nicht mal Met getrunken.
Das ist die Hitze. Nächstes Jahr, habe ich gesagt, möchte ich, dass er kurzärmlich trägt und dann einen goldenen Ellenbogen.
Ja.
Oh.
Oder er muss irgendwie seine Essenz in so eine Statue fließen lassen, so eine Und jedes Mal, wenn wir da rausgehen, einmal rüber und dann so.
Jeder den Ellenbogen einmal rein. Dann wird schon so Wein draus getrunken.
Oh mein Gott.
Warum
sind alle krank? Keine Ahnung.
Ich wäre nicht beschämt, wenn mir eine Statue errichtet werden würde.
Oh nein, wie furchtbar.